The show that keeps on giving. Big Sills, and how are you doing on this football Thursday to start another week in the National Football League? Man, how could you not be excited about the sports calendar right now? World Series, 3-2 Toronto. And everybody said, hey, guess what? This bad puppy was going to be a sweep. Well, guess what happened on the way to the dance? Toronto showed up. How you doing? There was a kid that was an A-ball, and he was in Dunedin, Florida. At the beginning of the year, dude goes out, you savage, and just goes absolutely insane last night. 12 Ks. The Dodgers' bats suck, except for Ohtani's. Bro, they got one game away from the Rogers Center blowing up in Toronto in a good way with another World Series championship in the first time since the early 90s. That's insanity, man. 300. Hey, help me out here. $379 million payroll. And the Dodger bullpen blows. The Phillies have a better bullpen. I'll make this point to you. The way the Dodgers are playing against Toronto, I think the Phillies would have beat the Blue Jays. Do you guys not agree? I think the Phillies would have beat the Blue Jays in this World Series. And that's without Wheeler. God forbid if you had Wheeler, you win that thing of 6. You win that bad puppy in 6, right? Dodger bullpen blows. Not saying that the Philly bullpen is anything to write home about, but shit, man. Weak in the knees, Xander says. No way. Well, I'll tell you what, the Dodgers are limping around, and they're walking around on them Howie Roseman knee pads right now. As we said, appreciate you guys. By the way, the great Lamar Jackson is back on the field tonight. Oh, and for the record, the best running back in pro football in the last 15 years. You ready for this? Derrick Henry is 67 yards away from 12,000 rushing yards. Let me take a look at that. All-time leading rushers. Holy shit. The best back in the last 15 years. Derrick Henry, all-time leading rushers. I ever put that guy Barkley in this guy's conversation. It's demeaning. Here's Derrick Henry. 67 yards. He goes to 12,000 yards, and he could potentially pass Thurman Thomas tonight and be 15th, and then he's going to chase down Franco Harris, Marcus Allen, Edgerrin James, Marshall Faulk, Jim Brown, Tony Dorsett. By the end of the year, he could be the 10th leading rusher in NFL history. Do you talk nearly as much around your wife, Dan? No. When I'm off the air, I shut it down, dog. Hey, belt to ass. Actually, you know what? My wife's one of the best sports talk people going. She used to produce my show for 20 years. That's a fact. My wife used to get, you know, all the guests that we know that we get on the program? My wife used to get those folks on my radio show. She was my executive producer, did all my sound bites. My wife was, you know, when it came to putting audio clips together, nobody's better in radio than my wife. She worked at Premiere with me. Actually, let me say this to you. I got the job at Premiere. I was talking sports talk radio nationally on Fox Sports Radio. They hired my wife as my executive producer. Okay? I mean, she used to get Henry Aaron on. Wasn't anybody she couldn't get on. She got Brett Favre on. It's crazy. Let's see here. What's this? This guy failed miserably in the NFL. Why would anyone listen to anything he says? Hey, fuckhead, at least I made it there. How you doing? Miserably? You're right. I only had a 3-year NFL career. The average NFL football player plays 3 years. How you doing? Sit down, kid. Sit down, kid, and tell me about your 4th team all-city team there in Altoona. Dude was the 3rd team all-city running back in Altoona. Hey, I would have been great. But hey, I hurt my hymen, and you know what? I was never able to go on and play at Tiscawani U. You know, one of the few scholarships that I got offered was Eagle Creek University and Helen Keller University. But hey, I was 7th team all-city at Altoona High. Polk High, how you doing? Why would anybody? They've just been doing it for 35 years. You know what? Actually, I asked the same fucking question. Why do people watch and listen to Big Sills for almost 40 years? Kind of perplexing. Today, Brian Baldinger, 5:15. Baldy's in. Hall of Fame voter. Howard Balzer, absolutely plugged in. We will talk to him at 4:30, and my boy, Big Z, will join us, and that will be at 3:30. So make sure you get your takes in. We're going to get to a topic here. I'm getting it. Look at my boy, Kyle. He follows Big Sills over on X, and I suggest you do too. If you want to be entertained each and every single day, there's only 2 places that you can find me. And quite frankly, this is it. This is the main, the Tampa show is fun. I get to talk college football. This is it. This and X. And if you want to hear a radio show, by the way, the radio show in Tampa is already better than anything you have in Philly. And it ain't close. It's not close. Try it. You tell me. Again, I always tell people this. If there's another show that you're watching right now and you go to in Philly, I implore you to go there. You'll be back in 5 minutes. Because at the end of the day, they're not going to entertain you for the next 4 hours like we will. Hit the like button. How you doing? Super Chats go to the top. We're going to get to this topic here in a second. Congratulations. Congratulations to Derrick Henry. That dude was a second-round draft choice out of Alabama. How? You know, Xander, when we get him on at 3:30, I think that Trent Richardson first-round pick, when Trent Richardson got drafted in the first round, I think that hurt Derrick Henry. I do, because Trent Richardson turned out to be a flop. Okay? I think that hurt him. Because then Derrick Henry goes in the second round. That guy was a 2. Good grief. Guy was a 2. And absolutely, what an amazing running back he has been. How you doing? Belt to ass. You predicted 7 wins last year. I did not predict 7 wins. Dudwa Dalla Bushbag. I did 9 wins. You said Jalen will never throw for 4K, and he hasn't. You, again, my friend, where did Jalen Hurts throw for $4,000? I must have missed that. And his fabulous, what was it, 2,900 yards last year and 18 TDs? Yeah, I must have missed that. Sills, are you expecting a bigger move to come at the edge? I'm on the fence of letting Jalix Hunt and Nolan go. Nolan's inability to stay healthy, though, is what worries me over anything. Exactly correct. Look, Nolan Smith is not a 17-game a season player. And nor is Nakobe Dean. Okay? Yes, the only reason that Chris Russo can't come on is because he does a show during the same time I do. Or Mad Dog would be on. Mad Dog is a dear friend of ours, and I like Chris Russo. I do not like Francesa. Me and him do not see eye to eye. Not sure we ever will. Okay? I remember when I first found JAKIB, I knew nothing about it or Sills. I just thought Sills was some guy with an angry problem and hated the Eagles. Turns out to be my favorite show. You know what, dude? I can't tell you how many people in my broadcasting career, Sills, I fucking hated you. I couldn't listen to you, and then all of a sudden, 10 years later, people still listening, and guy like this turd comes here every day. No, I won't read it. I don't really care what he says. He could type his little childish hands in his little mom's basement hands with his little Tarple syndrome problems that you have when you type too much and you're trying to get my attention. Not everybody gets Big Sills' attention. I'm in rare form today, baby. I'm ready to rock. I loved you in Tampa. Love you now more than that you covered the Eagles. Thank you, bro. Yeah, but I'm back in Tampa again, but that DAE show was insane. It was so good. Dude, we did 10 shares. We did 10 shares in the morning by myself on an AM. How you doing? And nobody beat me. It was one of the greatest, most rated and highest revenue shows of all time. Sills, you're a jackass, but you're reasonable at times. All right. I enjoyed the interview with Ray Dittinger. I think that's one of the cool things about the show is that all these people never say no to me. I've never had a person that we've wanted to come on JAKIB. I've never had a person say no. Can't do. Oh, wait. Well, no. I've had people. The only reason that certain people can't come on is because the Eagles tell them not to. Imagine that. Nobody says no. The only people that can't, there's people that aren't allowed to. NBC Philly people can't come on. WIP people can't come on. 97.5 people can't come on. Their bosses told them, do not go on Sileo's show. We do not want you on that show. He's a competitor. Little old Dan and little old JAKIB. Just a competitor. They want to be paid? I've never paid anybody to come on my program. I text Kurt Warner. I don't go through PR people. I get people you guys want to get on. Okay? Get this. I think I've realized that this show is essentially just a dude who hates on the birds and only engages with fans who hate the birds too. Interesting scam. Listen, folks. I don't hate your team. I love your team. I don't root for it, but I love your team. You know why? It's great content. It never stops giving. It's a winner. I cover winners, not dickheads like this guy. Only idiots think this way. Are you crazy? I love the Eagles. This guy's a fucking buffoon. Why would I want? Who do you think I want to be? Jimmy Kimmel? I talk shit on things that are loser things so nobody watches or listens. What an asinine way of looking at life. I hate on the Eagles. No, dude. I think like a coach and players always wanting to be better. And unfortunately, you see this jackass here? Okay? And see this right here when people do this? When you know they go to personal attacks, you know you've absolutely slam dunked on them. You take a Nerf ball. I just put the Nerf ball on this guy. And right now, I just dicked him Boom. How you doing, kid? How you doing? Go sit down over there. How you doing? You like the Tucker Carlson of sports. I actually like Tucker. Because he hates Is that what you're saying? He hates everybody. I just heard Sills when I was a kid, and my dad was listening to KMBR. Wow! Hey, I was wild then, though, dude, on KMBR. Holy shit. Hey, man. That was, I was on the front page of the San Francisco Chronicle, the mouth that roars. I got a big OS picture. I got to show you this, man. It's on the cover. Okay, hang on here. It's on the cover of the San Francisco Chronicle. Then we're going to get into our topics. Enough glazing. You're going to love this. Sileo. Let's see here. Mercury. You're going to love this. My wife saw this on the cover of the San Francisco Chronicle. And she saw this thing. Let's see here. Sports talk. Yeah. I don't know if I can find. I don't think I can find it here. Oh my God, it was so wild. There I was. I opened up the newspaper the next day, and I'm on the front cover of the. My bosses call me in. They go, I mean, you're saying outrageous shit here, and I'm like, yeah. They told me that show was too far ahead of its time. Gabe, tell them the show was too progressive. I was just too out there when I was doing that stuff. I was friends with the fabulous sports babe. Nancy was outstanding. She's a Hall of Famer. Hollywood, and I loved Nancy. Nancy was a great sports talk, and Nancy is a dear friend of mine. Love Nancy, the fabulous sports babe. Absolutely true. So, 2 questions. Are there more Super Bowl winning quarterbacks or quarterbacks? And let me see this. Sills, two questions. Are there more Super Bowl winning quarterbacks or Hall of Fame quarterbacks? And how can we be fans and also hate on the Eagles, as the Bob Lang bots say? How you doing? Well, there's lesser Super Bowls. The league's been around 105 years. The Super Bowl will be 60 years come February. So I would assume that there's probably more Hall of Fame quarterbacks than there are Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. It's a great comeback on what I said, that there's 3,200 people that have won Super Bowl rings and only 351 members of the Hall of Fame. That's a good comeback. It is. I think that's an exclusive club too, is being a Hall of Fame guy. Okay? I do. All right. So here we go. Hit that like button. I'm in a great mood today. How couldn't you be? Right? How couldn't you be in a great mood? All right. So let me read this. And this ain't me. This is, and I should have gotten some of because I saw this late. This is ESPN Cleveland. And I happen to know these guys that are on the air at 8:50. And now it's being floated around that the Philadelphia Eagles have offered up 3 ones for Myles Garrett. I got asked a question by one of those guys in Cleveland if I would do that. And I said, before I make it public, I want to do it on my show. And the guys are talking about it right now. They may be even watching. Let me throw this at you too first. No way. You don't have a football player on your team right now better than him. There's nobody on your team better than him. There's nobody better. Lane Johnson in his prime's not better. As great as you think Jalen Carter will be, he won't be better. As a matter of fact, there hasn't been anybody in your organization's history other than Brian Dawkins and Reggie White who you can make a conversation about who might be better. There's nobody better that you have on your football team currently right now. And that goes for every team in the league, except for the guy in Kansas City. Don't act like you have better players than that guy. You don't. And nor are you going to draft a better player in the next 3 years better than that guy. Cooper DeJean has no chance at being better than that guy. So, before you put into context, no, let's talk it out here. Okay? 3 ones. And if you think you're as good as you are, they're in the 30s, like second-round picks. Don't act like they're the 5th pick in the draft. They're not. You're going to be good for a long time. And how about this? Let's put this in there. You can't win a Super Bowl without AJ. Agreed. But if you give me Garrett on the other side of that conversation, you can win without AJ. I don't get it. 4 TDs versus depleted Giants team that was already down to competition to begin with. I can't be proud of that. AJ still right in my eyes. John, here's the deal. 4 TDs versus depleted Giants team. I didn't take anything away from that, John. Depleted, they were playing practice squad guys in the secondary. You're dead right. I took more away from the Minnesota game. If the Eagles get Garrett, they're winning it all. Yes. If you get Myles Garrett, you'll win every game the rest of the year. Might not be close. Let me ask you something. Do you think Micah Parsons improved the Green Bay Packers? Yes or no? Do you think he's improved the Packers? Micah Parsons to Green Bay. This guy's better. This guy's better. Get this guy. Trade Dean and 2 first-rounders. Who the fuck wants Dean? Bro, trade me somebody that's not going to break down on the way to Cleveland. This just in. N'Kobe's hurt again. Not really. And by the way, I'm almost afraid to say that because I don't want to put the juju on him. Sills, who you taking? Option 1, Jalen Carter, Quinion, Jod Campbell. Or option B, Myles Garrett. We've had great picks in the last 3 years. I think you've had great premium picks. I think they've done a really nice job in picks. I'll say that. Look, N'Kobe Dean is a good player. He's just not reliable. He's just not reliable. That has no interest, man. Bro, that's not, look at this. Guys, that's not going to cut it. A Jomo and 2 first-rounders? Are you fucking crazy? Why would you trade a lesser player in 2 ones? You better put AJ's name there. And 2 ones. The fuck are you talking? Dude, bro. If you're going to shop at a Rolex store, you got to trade a Rolex, not a Timex. A Jomo's a Timex in this conversation. He's a Timex. I think 3 ones is rich for any organization. 3 ones and a player, 2 ones and a player. Remember this, in an in-season deal, you want to get a player back. If you want your straight picks, you wait for the April draft. Remember, Andrew Berry's there. There's a relationship between Howie Roseman and Andrew Berry. Can I tell you, I think this has got more to do with the owner than Andrew Berry. I think Andrew Berry would make the deal. I think Jimmy Haslam's the one that's hedging and stopping this. I think Howie would have had this deal done. If this came down that Andrew Berry had total say on who to move, I think Andrew Berry, dude, 3 ones? Why is this important? Guys, why is this important for Cleveland? Why is this important for Cleveland if you could get these draft picks? Anybody know? Why is this important? Why would this be a way for Cleveland to improve their football team? Help me out here. Okay? Get a quarterback, Kyle. All right. You can rebuild the roster. Khalid, somebody, Kyle, do me a favor. How many first-round picks did Cleveland give up or Cleveland get from the Jags so the Jags can move up to number 2 to get Travis Hunter? How many did they get? I think next year, don't they get 2 first-rounders, their own, and the Jags? Then the Jags give up another first-rounder? Right? I think it was a 26 first-rounder and a 27 first-rounder. Is that right? So this coming year, you could have 3 first-round picks. You could have 3 first-round picks next year and then 2 the following year. If you're Cleveland, you want to rebuild your team? How you doing? Where the fuck are you going now? You're going nowhere. Why wouldn't you make that deal? He's 29 years old. By the time you build your football team up, say you don't move even with the Travis Hunter draft picks, he'll be 33 and he'll be past his prime. Why not make the move now? I could have the Jags 1, my 1, and the Eagles 1. So my 1's going to be either 1 or 2, right, in the draft? So let's just say I'll have the first pick in the draft. I'll have the 10th pick in the draft. Let's say the Eagles win the Super Bowl. And the 32nd pick in the draft? Sign me fucking up for a team that would be lucky to win 6 games this year. Oh, I mean, and for a guy like Garrett, Howie Roseman getting and giving 3, you know he'll get that back. You know how he'll get it back? Trading AJ in the offseason for a 1. That's how he'll get it back. And then you're only surrendering 2 for Garrett. Then you draft your young wideout to put on the other side in the offseason next to Devontae Smith. And you're only out 2 ones. AJ's not getting 2 ones. You fucking dumb. Chills, what are you doing with Shedeur? I think they should hold him until next year and not ruin him by throwing him to the Wolves. Dude, who says Cleveland's ever going to develop a quarterback, though, in the first place? I said it, Sills. Be the Browns' defense is first in the league, and they're trash. Everything has to be on the table for the Browns. Absolutely. You're not doing your franchise any justice by keeping Myles Garrett on your team. Dude, look at this guy. Stills, they're not trading AJ. Please stop the narrative. No, I won't, because that's what they're talking about now in Cleveland. This ain't my topic, dude. Cleveland people are saying that Howie, and by the way, what's her name? Her name is Cabot, has confirmed this. What's her name? Cabot. She covers the Browns. And there is conversation on it. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. Who's the lady that covers the Browns? Her last name is Cabot. She's a really respected Mary Jo Cabot. That's it. She covers the Browns. This is not stupid shit. By the way, A.J. Brown is nowhere, anywhere in the conversation of talent of Myles Garrett. Not even remotely close. A.J. is a spectacular player. That dude's a generational player. Honestly, it's a win for both teams. Why not? Absolutely true. Let me say something to you. You add him to your football team, and you put him next to Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter will look like Aaron Donald. He's not close. Where the fuck are you saying he's close? He's not even remotely in the conversation with Myles Garrett. What a dummy, man. Dude, A.J. Brown is nowhere near the player. A.J.'s not going to the Hall of Fame. This guy today is a Hall of Famer. Can we afford him? I think you're 20. What's your cap room right now? I think one of the ways you can afford him is if you traded AJ to them. Okay? Let's take a look at Myles Garrett here. What a great player. I really had question marks with him coming out of college, because you know what he said, if you remember, when he came out of Texas A&M? Remember what he said? I don't really have a love for the game. It's not the top priority. I got other loves in my life. I was like, shit, you don't love football? Well, let's see how that worked out in his career so far. Here's Myles Garrett. 13.5, 10, 12.5, 16.5, 16.5, 16.5, 15.5, 15.5, 10. He's got 10 right now through 8 games. He's on pace for 20. He's a former defensive player of the year. 1, 2, 3, 4. First team all pros, not Pro Bowlers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Pro Bowls. 4 all pros. Nobody's near him on your football team. You don't have a player on your team that's close to his ability. Nobody. He'd be the best defensive player you've had since Reggie White. And that includes Brian Dawkins. What up, Sills? Hope all is well with you and your family. Drop 3 ones on the Browns today, or AJ in 2. Yep. If it gets us Myles, absolutely do it. Thank you, Eric. Yeah, you want to send AJ for your first round quarterback next year? That's how I'd pitch it to him. AJ, you're going to be on the Browns, and the top quarterback, we're going to make a number 1 pick. You're going to get all your targets. You're going to be in Cleveland, and we're going to have 3 ones next year. And we're going to build a team in the offense around you. Get this. You're not trading AJ. You're not. Myles Garrett's name's up. You are. I agree with everybody in here. I'm not trading A.J. Brown for draft picks with New England. New England has nothing. I want. Draft picks doesn't help the Eagles now. And I'll say this to you too. You put Myles Garrett next to Jalix Hunt, Nolan Smith, and Brandon Graham, you're the fucking best edge room in the NFL. You go from being the worst to the best in 24 hours. 24 hours. Like, get this. I'm not trading Max Crosby for A.J. Brown. How's that help me? Max is a fine ball player. He really is. He ain't that guy. Dude, Micah Parsons is a great player. He ain't that guy. You know when you tune on. And by the way, Parsons has been like rejuvenated in Green Bay. He's been rejuvenated. Get this. Why would I be making shit up on what people are now talking about in Cleveland, you dickhead? Where do you think I got the topic from? I got the topic from Cleveland. What a douchebag. I didn't make that up. So I think the Eagles could rework Jalen's contract to free up some cap space. But don't you think the Browns owner's trying to avoid looking like Joe Schoen with Barkley? I don't know what that Cleveland owner's thinking at all because he's a horrible owner too. Him and Stephen Ross and Woody Johnson and Jimmy Haslam with the Browns, they're fucking terrible owners. Miles should separate us. Miles could separate us from the rest of the NFC. Could? Will. Would you trade AJ for a can of Kelly Green paint? Actually, I would trade him for your, what is it, 30-footer? That's going. Let me get something here. Are you in a rowboat when you go out fishing? With that kind of take, you must be in a rowboat, NJ Fishing Maniac. You must be in one of those little rowboats. Only a guy in a rowboat that calls himself the Fishing Maniac would ask a question like that. She goes, you need to get your wife and daughter on the show. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Sills ain't capping. It's just hit social media. Thank you, Prince. Head of the game, baby. As always, head of the sticks. That's why, Prince, thank you, bro. Thank you, bro. This guy's in a little rowboat, and he's got one of them little fishing nets that you catch guppies with. And he's like, Sills, green paint. I'm like, damn, dog. I expect you to be in a big old 30-footer. Got a crank on the back. No, this guy's in a fucking rowboat with one of them little shrimp nets, and he's picking little guppies up. Come on, dog. Got your own YouTube channel, and you're picking guppies up. We don't fish for guppies. Yeah. Sills, we heard it here first, folks. Woo, baby. That's right. Garrett to the Eagles. See how that's even going here. Maybe what we did, we got it going even more. That guy Sileo. Okay, here we go. Starting to hit. GM Howie Roseman is super hot for Cleveland Browns Myles Garrett, offering 3 ones. Yeah. Here we go. There's a new one. Yahoo Sports reporter Charles Robinson on 102.5 in Cleveland said the Eagles are hot for Myles Garrett. Holy shit. You hear it here and you're like, Sileo's talking shit. Now we're talking reality. Not me. I'm not the one bringing this up. Everyone else did. Actually, not true. I did. I'll make anything trend, bitch. You want to see it? Seals, if we get Garrett, the next battle royale will be legendary. I hadn't laughed that loud out on a show in a long time. That was fucking Philly 500 was in rare form yesterday. And after watching it again, I don't know, maybe Xander's right. I'm going to have to be better prepared for him. I'll tell you what, anytime it comes up with Dak, he hates Dak Prescott, boy. I'll tell you. Seals, if the Eagles get Garrett, get the Clippers. That's right. I forgot about that, Stu. Wait a minute. Don't I get an asterisk? Wait a minute. If you get Garrett, you get Myles Garrett. I'm gonna have to get a I'm gonna have to get a mulligan. If you get Myles Garrett, I'm gonna have to get a mulligan. No? I'd give up 3 firsts for Garrett. He's worth so much. Absolutely. Sills, I know AJ fans are in shambles right now. 3 firsts for a guaranteed Super Bowl win? I'm in. Dude, I would do this. You get Myles Garrett. I wouldn't have anything to say. I got to tell you this too. Let's say you don't get him. Kudos for floating that out there, Howie Roseman. Bro, this motherfucker wants to win, man. Dude. By the way, if that guy gets Myles Garrett, or even in the conversation to get him, so you're telling me he made a pitch for Micah Parsons this year and Myles Garrett? Holy cow. Look at this. Here's the new one. Bleeding Green just came out with it 5 minutes ago. You guys watch the show. I know you do. Howie Roseman and the Eagles are super hot after Garrett. Brandon Lee Gouton. Trade rumors. Howie Roseman and the Eagles are super hot after Myles. That's 6 minutes. What's going on? We mention it here, and there it is. What's going on? What is going on here? I knew it. Can I tell you why? I talked to Alonzo Highsmith. He told me this morning Howie Roseman called Andrew Berry. And they first initially offered like a player. He wouldn't tell me who. And a 1. And Cleveland said, come back. True. So now New England is trying to get Myles Garrett, but the Browns don't want to trade him in the AFC. So as we trade for Garrett and AJ is traded to Cleveland, I'll personally drive AJ to Philly International Airport. Just make sure you don't put him on the wrong side, because I don't know how to get around that freaking airport, man. Xander had me at some sort of like rat race there. I'm talking to him on the phone. I'm driving by you. No, you're not. Know where the hell I was for about 20 minutes. You're on the other side of the tracks? Yeah. You numbnut, you went out the wrong door. I said, oh, how would I know? If we get Garrett, those boys just go to Disney World right now. Fucking subway rails like yeah, that's exactly what it was. I'm like, what? Oh, man. For fuck's sake, please, Howie, get him. I'll rip my shirt off like freaking Hulk Hogan. Hit the like button, guys. Dude, I knew this when I heard this. And then I heard Mary Jo Cabot say that there's some truth to it. She's plugged in. Then Alonzo talking to him. I could call Dan Morgan too. All these general managers know, especially as a trading deadline, hey, you hear the Browns are moving. Not moving. That wasn't the word. They're entertaining calls. Sills 3 late firsts for Garrett would be a steal. If Howie is only floating the offer to raise the price, it's still a great deal. I agree. How about this too, Bob? Maybe if you're the Raiders and you hear Howie Roseman is floating 3-1s around, I mean, you don't think that would help the Raiders for Max Crosby? Now, I'm not giving 3-1s up for Crosby, but I might entertain one and then 2s and 3s, right? Good work, Sales. Best show on the internet. Thank you. None of the shows had this. We did. I knew opening this up here. Listen, dude, Myles Garrett is a generational player. He's a generational football player. I would offer 3 first rounds and AJ for Myles Garrett and Jerry Jeudy. Fair trade all around. I think 3 firsts are a lot. Maybe that Jerry Jeudy coming back is not that bad a deal. I don't know that that's not a bad thing having him come. And isn't Jeudy one of them Bama guys? Played with Devontae too, right? Played with Jalen. Xander, did Jerry Jeudy play with Jalen Hurts? I would give AJ in 2-1s, not 3. Okay? AJ in 2-1s for Garrett and Jeudy. So wait a minute. You get Jeudy, you add him to the mix. That covers AJ, and he played with Jalen Hurts at Alabama, and he played with Devontae? I don't know. That's starting to make like more sense to me here. Talking about it, Jeudy. Hey, have a good time with Sanders, AJ. Do you think AJ wants to go anywhere else if we get Garrett? He has no say where he goes. He doesn't have a no trade in his clause and in his contract. Hey, we said it. It's happening. Let me see what else go. Oh, wait a minute here. We got a new one. Let's see here. Everyone's now accusing me of starting this. So what? Myles Garrett to the Eagles for 3-1s. To the Eagles. Let's see how it's going here. Woo! Number 1 story right now. The Eagles trading 3-1s to the Browns for Myles Garrett. Mike Limpsky? Let's see here. Who else got going? We got people now in Philly picking it up. Football Forever picking it up. Thomas Mott. What in the world is going on here? You seem a little more perky this year. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Perky? I don't know what you mean, man. You have to help me out on that one. Perky. Just came in, Sills. How you doing? Eagle reporters now picking it up. Of course they are. Of course they are. Did you see her at the Dodger game eating that Dodger dog? I was like this. Yeah. I was like a baby. I saw Sidney Sweeney at that. Hey, I saw Sidney Sweeney at the Dodger game at Dodger Stadium. I was like, my wife goes, "What's wrong with you?" I go, "I don't know. I'm acting like an infant." She is smoking, man. You are scared to death of them getting Garrett. Your constant negative show will make no sense. What are you talking about, douche? Alabama douche. I'd be pulling for you to get Myles Garrett. Are you nuts? Dude, you some people in here, I'm not rooting against you. I'm not rooting against you. I am not rooting against the Philadelphia Eagles to win the Super Bowl. I am not rooting. We should have a little drop line. I am not rooting against you to lose or not win the Super Bowl. I am not rooting for you not to win the Super Bowl. I am not rooting for that. So let me get this right. I do a post and pregame show, which means I get paid extra money. Hey, I hope they get bounced in the first round. What? Yeah, try passing that by my wife. I'm hoping to get paid through the Pro Bowl. You guys don't get me yet. Most of you do. Okay? Sills, what screen are you looking at? I don't see none of this. You don't see none of this? Just type in Garrett to the Eagles. Pretty simple. The offensive downgrade doesn't outweigh. Yes, it does. The defensive upgrade? You won your Super Bowl a year ago by running the ball and not throwing the ball. Samuel, I'm not ripping you. Samuel, a year ago, you ran the ball and were the 30th ranked passing offense. Passing offense. Okay? You were number 2 in rushing. You were number 1 in defense. You shut down Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Downgrade? What do you mean? You're fabulous 25th ranked offense now? I'll give up a first and my right kidney for both. Damn. Take the kidney, give me Myles Garrett. Now that's a true New York chick. That right there is the Queen of Bayonne. Guinea Gulch. How you doing? There she is, the Queen of Guinea Gulch. Hey, Cells, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give up my first and a kidney. That's why New York chicks are awesome. Right there, man. That's why you give up. Hey, that's why New York chicks are awesome. Miles got people tweaking. Well, I'll tell you who don't have people tweaking. Okay? You know who don't have anybody tweaking? Adoree Jackson or Michael Carter. The second just got on What the F is Going On. What the F is going on? It's called Big Sills time. Here we go. Dan Sileo, the drive in Ohio to pick him up and drive to the NovaCare Center myself. Ooh, they're talking in Cleveland right now about Myles Garrett going to the Eagles. What? They asked me right before I went on, what do you make of this? And I go, well, let's check it out. because they know we're plugged in. And as confirmed, yes. That look, guys, that don't mean it's going on. That just means they're coming. Howie wants this guy. Boy, you tell me you missed out on Parsons but land Garrett. Hey, screw what I said about his offseason if he lands this guy. All those trash can guys he signed, okay, you land on him, be the greatest acquisition you've ever had in your entire career, and that includes Terrell Owens and A.J. Brown. And what you would do to Jalen Carter, who you doubling? Jalen Carter? That might motivate that guy too. Get this. So your front would be this: Myles Garrett, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, and Jalix Hunt. Your linebackers would be Bond, Dean, and Campbell. I think you're better than Denver. I think you're better than Houston. Bruce, he's just trying to clean up mistakes after fans hype up all those corny-ass offseason moves. Okay? Here's the difference between him and Jason Light, who I got on today, the general manager of the Bucs. Do you want to hear something messed up about Jason Light? He's made one move for a nose tackle in his entire time as general manager heading into the trading deadline. He doesn't use it. If that guy doesn't make a move by the trading deadline and Emeka Egbuka gets hurt, Tez Johnson is their number one wideout. The Bucs aren't going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. That would be over $200 million for two players on the D-line. Actually, got to look at it annually. Oh, who said that? What's his name's getting 40? $40 million for Myles Garrett? Okay. For what, 2-3 years? Okay. By that time, and if you picked up, you got 2 years remaining with Carter, and you do one of them Devontae Smith deals with him, he gets off the books in 3 years, and you kind of go from here like this, sure, I'm in. So we go from reading War and Peace to hitting with helmets. I'll take it. Absolutely. At least that guy's an impact football player. Thank you very much. Man, Sills, that trade ain't happening, but you damn sure could sell a dream. Hold on for a minute. Whoa. Your general manager is trying to sell Cleveland a dream. Here's 3 ones. Build your team up. We're trying to win a Super Bowl. The Eagles are one player away from dominating. The Eagles, if they don't make that move, they're in the room to be a Super Bowl champ. You put that guy on your team, everyone's looking up like this again. Like this. Right now, everybody's looking like this, looking at Rams, Bucks, Packers, Lions. You get Myles Garrett, they're doing this. Shit. That's pretty much what that is. Come on, Andrew Barry, you pancake-eating son of a B. Someone's going to be laid to look like a dope here, Andrew. My feeling today, it's you. I do like that movie. They just said it on WIP an hour later. Of course they did. Why do you think Xander has this bitch on. Requested a trade, sent farewell letter, talked about winning, wanting to win, then signs an extension. Yeah, right. Okay, sure. That's a stupid take right there, Pump. Come on, Pump. I do love the pitcher, Pump. Pump. Corporate B Pumper. Wait a minute. I'm sorry, Pump. I didn't mean to say that to you. Corporate B Pumper. And look at the pitcher of Hurts. Hey, Pump. Thank you, man. Oh, my God. I can't wait. Yes, we started the program off an hour and a half ago about, Miles Garrett. Let's see what's going on over here now. I knew we'd get this thing trending. Power sells. Never ceases to amaze. Miles Garrett to Eagles. How you doing? Oh, shit. It's totally getting picked up everywhere. 3 1s. I don't know. I'm sorry. Listen. I am. Yahoo Sports. Yep. Oh, my God. I told you. Look at this. The New England Patriots are acquiring about 4-time first-team All-Pro. I told you. When did this come out? This came out just seconds ago. They told me New England they asked for him too. I think we're stepping in it here. I think I'm going to get a lot of calls after this show from all my friends in the NFL. Hey, what the hell? You're blowing something up here, man. We're supposed to keep this shit, behind closed scenes here. Sills, I'll bet Rosenhaus is not happy if this deal happens. He'll lose leverage in the Carter negotiations. I don't know about that. 2 different positions. I don't know about that. Okay? Gonzo and first for AJ, then trade Garrett for 3 1s. I'm not trading AJ Brown for anything unless it's involved in the Garrett deal. What has happened here? Everyone's kind of rolling in here now. So as I misspoke, I would go for 2 1s and AJ for Judy and Garrett. If we get this, then we'll be looking at Dan Baldino. Dan Baldio? Okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to get a mulligan on that. If you get fucking Myles Garrett, I'm taking that deal off the table because your team's different. You don't get that. Hey, I'm going to trade for the best player in the league. Yeah, I don't know. Seals, consider what Carter could learn sitting next to Garrett in the locker room and working with him. How about this? Think about what Garrett would do for guys like Malata, and when you get another offensive lineman in, and what he could do for the offensive line on the other side when you're training and going through training camp and you're practicing and you're doing one-on-one drills. Think about all that knowledge he has on teaching offensive linemen, having a guy like that on the other side. Think about all of that. Whew. Another one. Yep. Everyone's posting it now. All Cleveland Sports Talk is bringing it up because we brought it up. Dude, it's everywhere. All over X. They went after Micah. They want this guy bad. I thought it was phony. Fake news. We're making this thing a reality. When you after fans got brought back to reality. I'm not moving AJ for anyone, sorry to say, I haven't seen enough from this offense that would tell me that we can win without him. Well, you won a game last week without the guy. So that's how Vegas works. You make a bet, circumstances don't matter. You either win or ask. Hey, Josh, really? I'm Italian. Are you suggesting I don't know how a bet works? It's in my DNA. It's in the Guinea blood. I don't. So Cleveland put it out to test the waters and see how the fans would take it. Still a pipe dream. It's not. Hit the like button for Garrett. Tip my hat to Howie. Man, he doesn't lie when he said he doesn't sleep. This guy tries no matter what. That's what I'm really liking about this, is that this guy here, man, even if he doesn't make it happen, he's pushing the gas pedal down. He really is. Giving up 3 1s. Look at this guy. You want to laugh? Let's laugh together. We aren't making any deals. One more small move before the deadline. That's probably it. Wow, what an epiphany. What a limb. Wow, really? You probably will make only a small move. But he's trying to make a gigantic one to separate himself from his team, from the other teams in the NFC. Hey, kid, seriously, you have to be 10 years old. Right? Are you a Madden guy? Play Madden, right? Man, this guy's like 4 years old. Pump, you gotta be going there, bro. Fortunately, Sells, I want Miles far more than JC. Miles is a known demon on the field and on the road. Maybe not the guy we want around JC. Well, maybe you could slap the shit out of the guy and make him understand that the guy's a professional right now. For 3 1s? Yeah. Well, wait. Let's take this right here. Ruiz, I'm not picking on you. You really think the Browns would trade Miles? Okay, Ruiz. And Myles Garrett's 29 years old. Do you think in the next 5 years the Cleveland Browns are going to win a world championship? Or do you think the Browns are going to be Super Bowl contenders? Ruiz, or anybody answer the question I'm asking Ruiz. Do you think the Browns will be a Super Bowl contender in the next 5 years? Or the contract, 4 years? Do you think they'll be a Super Bowl contender? Okay. So we're going to answer Ruiz's question. Ruiz even says no. Okay. So you're not going to be in a conversation for a Super Bowl. Next question. Do you have a quarterback? That's no too. Okay. So you're not going to be a Super Bowl contender. You haven't answered the quarterback situation yet. And how do you get to become a Super Bowl contender quick? Draft picks. Draft picks. Draft picks. Right? Draft picks. I would have mine, the Jags, and the Birds coming up in 26. So I'm not going anywhere for the next 5 years. I don't have a quarterback, and I'll have 3 1s next year. Ishmael keeping the channel going, baby. Thank you, Junior. Appreciate you. That is totally dope of you, man. Always respect you. I think people have hate towards you because you speak the truth. I was one of them, but now I see it. I always thought cold-hearted is that Nolan and Dean were traded for Howie. Question. Also, I'd sacrifice my wife for Miles. Oh, my God. I always thought cold-hearted. No, not really, dude. Well, wait a minute. Ishmael, the NFL is cold-hearted, man. That's how they do business. NFL, man, they don't care who you are. They'll get rid of your shit in 5 seconds. It's all about team. Isn't it funny? General managers think team. Fans think individuals. Howie Roseman's not thinking about an individual. He's not even asking the D coordinator what he thinks. He already knows Myles. What do you think Vic Fangio could do with Myles Garrett? This is dope, man. Ishmael, thank you, dude. Can't thank you enough. That's right. NFL is cutthroat, dude. It is cutthroat. This trade would give Cleveland 7 first-round. Hey, Bob, remember Ruiz asked the question? So let's put it out there for Cleveland. So Cleveland would, okay, they're not going anywhere. They don't have a quarterback. And they would have 7 first-round picks over the next 3 years. He asked the question, why would Cleveland do it? If you were Cleveland, and all the things I just said to you, and you would get cheaper because you would have players on rookie contracts, and you would get Garrett's $40 million off the book. How is that not a no-brainer? You get Garrett's money off the book. You get 7 first-round picks in 3 years. You get a quarterback, and Myles Garrett's money's gone. That's why you make the deal. Keeping Myles Garrett, so wait a minute, you're going to keep Myles Garrett for what? You're going nowhere. You're going nowhere. By the way, both teams win this trade. Both teams win. Here's 3 ones, 2 ones and AJ. You get AJ's salary off the books too if you do that. You're just swapping money. 32 for 40. All right. 32 for 40. Sounds good to me. Financially, though, would that be something how, again, remember, the business of the NFL also has to be into the conversation, Xander. Okay, you keep AJ. That means there's 3 $40 million deal guys coming up potentially. AJ, Myles, and then Jalen Carter. Awful rich. Awful rich. That's big money for Laurie. Okay? I don't know how he's going to surrender 3 of them. Remember, you also have to put you also have to put into the conversation the business of the NFL. Xander's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. Howard Balzer will join us at 4:30. We'll go around the NFL. We'll ask him about this. We'll ask him the impact that Myles Garrett would make in Philadelphia. And then we'll ask Baldinger. At 5:15, Balding's coming on. That'll be at 5:15. So I don't think people understand how hard it is to go to the Super Bowl. If you're in a position, you go all in. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to make a point to you about the Super Bowl. Okay? Watch this. Super Bowl list. My God almighty. If the Eagles did this, I love to factor in the conversation. I'm sorry. I just love the conversation. Here, let me go here. I'm going to show you something, guys. Okay, Super Bowl. Super Bowl champions. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to show you how hard this is. Check this out, guys. Let's go the last 20 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay. In the last 20 years, Roethlisberger, Peyton, Eli, Flacco, outlier, Wilson, outlier, Brady, Peyton, Brady, Flacco, Brady, Mahomes, Brady, Stafford, and Hurts. In the last 20 years, if your name's not Roethlisberger, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, okay? There's 4 dudes with Hurts in the last 20 years that have won Super Bowls. If your name's not Eli, Roethlisberger, Peyton, or Tom Brady. These games aren't that easy to win. When you're this close, you push everything in. I mean, everyone's under the impression, well, you know, everyone could go to, yeah, that's not the case. And Mahomes, right. Thank you, Benny. Still set the tone today. I could smell WIP pants from here. I think they shat themselves again. JAKIB, best out there. Yeah, because you know what? It's a bye week. They don't know what they're talking about over there. And this is what we do. We create content, my friends, and so do you because you're the best. Seals of Howie's trying to get Garrett, then the money is figured out. He's good. That's right. That's a great take. You're dead on. If he's trying to get him, you're right, Eric. You're dead on. If he's thinking about getting Garrett, he's already figured the money out. Yes. Yes. Great take. That's a great take. He's not calling on somebody if he hasn't figured the cash out. Shit, the move that you made with Michael Carter II, he already figured the money out on the guarantees that the Jets picked that shit up. They're not on the hook for any money. So check the profile picture. I'm trying to force it into existence. Nice job, Curtis. Yeah, no. Yeah, I think as long as it makes sense financially. I think Lori gives that guy all the latitude in the world, and that's what makes it. Dude, what makes Howie Roseman the best GM when it comes to shit like this is that the owner goes like this. All right, hang on. Here's the checkbook. Don't spend too much. You have an allowance, son. Remember, there's an allowance. Don't go over the allowance. And if you can balance remember, you don't get any money until next week. Yeah, Dad. I'll take the money and do what I can. I'll buy a lot of lollipops over here, and I'll buy some gummy bears over here. I'm ready to go, Dad. Have a good time. Seals, can Garrett cover the flat? Yeah. You know what? Let him get to the quarterback. I'll tell you this. Every time I hear Lane Johnson talking about Myles Garrett, I hear Lane Johnson say, yeah, that's different. You know, I mean, every time Lane is going to Canton, and he goes, "Yeah, that's different. Yeah, that's different." Here, let me type that in here. Let me see what's going on here. Story's blowing up. It's everywhere. Oh yeah, people are now telling me that WIP's now on it. Of course they are. Why wouldn't you be? It's a story in Cleveland. I feel like this means Howie's done. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. If Howie wants to take the rest of the year off, you get Myles Garrett. I'll see you at the parade. I'll see you at the freaking parade. What's this smell? Let me see. Is that Ish? Is that you? Ish, is that a picture of you, bro? Tell me if that's you, dude. No, I think you misunderstood. So I'm saying that Nolan and Dean was Howie's trade capital. He never, any player to how we see. He sees trade capital. Okay. I pick Super Bowl rings over pick. We do it. We do have a draft. Okay. No, I think you want misunderstood. So I'm saying that Nolan and Dean was Howie's trade capital. I have never, ever any player to how he sees. He sees trade capital. I pick Super Bowl rings over picks. We do have a draft. Okay. Ishmael. I look at draft capital as stocks. Okay? I look at them as stocks. And when you look at it, you go like this. Will that stock go up? Will that stock go down? I don't know. To my guy, Big Sills, how are you, my friend? Since there's no clear dominant team, that doesn't help the Eagles to put things together for the stretch run. You're telling me you don't think that Myles Garrett helps you in a stretch run? You don't think that? You don't think that? Okay? Sills, I'll make this simple. Howie is an accountant first. Every player is an asset, and Howie knows his liabilities. I agree. Howie would lock down this trip to the Hall of Fame if he gets Garrett. He really would, man. I think he's a Hall of Fame general manager now, Philly. I really do. Just get the job done. Here's Curtis. Curtis, we aren't getting Garrett, but if we think he doesn't help us get checked in for a brain tumor, what is wrong with you people? How about this too, Curtis? Put this out there. I said this earlier. Remember something here. If you're the Raiders and you're watching this, 3-1s, what would Philly be willing to give up for Myles Garrett? I mean, for Max Crosby. 2-1s? The Raiders are going nowhere. They have no quarterback. The coach is 70 years old. Yeah, well, I'm not giving them the same price tag as I would for Garrett, for Max Crosby. That's my take. I'm not giving you the same money. I'm saying if you're seeing what Philly is willing to do, what would you be willing to do for Crosby? 1 and couple threes? Player? You get Crosby? Okay. Max Crosby's 28. Learn to read, Sills. That's not what I said. All right. Put it back up. Let's read it back up again. To my guy, Big Sills. How are you, my friend? Since there's no clear dominant team, doesn't that help the Eagles to put things together for the stretch run? Yes. And that's what they're doing now. Okay? Right. Right. I mean, listen, you get Myles Garrett. Let me see how much I've made this thing move. Oh. Now I'm being called some poor choice words here. Let's see here. What has happened? JAKIB once again out in front like a biatch. Oh, by the way, we got a Hall of Fame voter who's also plugged in. That is Howard Balzer. And then we got Baldy at 5:15. Hey, you doing? Hey, do you think I could come up with somebody tomorrow to trade for it? Let's get AJ's ass out of here. Oh, yeah. Hey, I got an idea. Let's put John McMullen. And forget it. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Hang on here. Without further ado, one of the biggest A.J. Brown fans on the planet. He is a man. But first and foremost, got to say, Xander Krause is all about this. He's all about the Philadelphia Eagles, my friends. It ain't so much about A.J. Brown. It's more about the Eagles. What will Big Z say? What take will he have? Shall we find out? Look at this. I haven't even picked up my topic pages, and I've been going already for an hour and a half. I haven't fucking brought up one topic yet. Without further ado. And thank you, Ish. Our man from Birds 365, Big Z. Xander Krause joins us now.
What up, Big Sills? How you doing, brother?
How am I doing? I'm doing fabulous.
I know you are. I know you are.
So what have we started here?
I don't know what we started. I mean, I saw this thing floating on Cleveland earlier, and I didn't know if there was any truth to it. At first, I saw it. I'm like, it's a bunch of bullshit. But I don't know. I did text some people, and it's a very similar situation to A.J. Brown, where the Browns are saying they do not want to trade Myles Garrett, and the Eagles are saying they do not want to trade A.J. Brown. But both teams they haven't convinced the rest of the league that they're actually not taking calls or they're actually uninterested in moving them. It's the same thing with the Eagles and AJ. Eagles say we're not moving AJ, but the Patriots think, if we pry him enough, they might move him. Same thing with Myles Garrett. And then apparently the Eagles are they really want Myles. Now, I don't know if they've given him 3-1s or offered 3-1s. To be blunt with you, Sills, I wouldn't even hesitate. To get Myles Garrett. I mean, you have a Super Bowl window. I mean, we're going into Super Bowl 60 this year. That's the Super Bowl. So it's been 59 damn seasons since the Super Bowl era started. And how many moments in Philadelphia Eagles history have we had where you have an opportunity like this, where you're coming off a Super Bowl, you have a roster that's pretty young, healthy, and talented, and everything is out in front of you. I mean, that's pretty rare. Last time we won the Super Bowl in 2018, it almost felt like the end. Remember, we ran it back. We had the oldest team in the league, all these different things. I mean, we're in a rare moment here, and if Myles Garrett is at all available, I will make it happen. But it does feel a little bit like it's not going to happen.
You win the next 3 Super Bowls.
I think we would. I'm. And by the way, you're not rescinding your bet. If the Eagles have a parade in February, you're going to be bald. You can't rescind the bet.
Well, wait. If Garrett, wait a minute. If Garrett part of it, man, that changes
That
the
makes
whole.
you a phony. If you don't do it, that makes you a phony.
Oh, okay, Philly 500. Stop fucking
No,
calling
I'm
me
just
out.
saying
All right.
you can't proclaim it on the show, have me post it up on our socials, and then say, "Well, Howie was still the GM when you made that." I mean,
All
come
right.
on.
Oh, okay. Let me make this make sense to you then. Okay? Let me make this make sense to you. So, do you believe if you're Cleveland, you're Andrew Berry, and you're Jimmy Haslam? I think Jimmy Haslam is the one that's stopping this, the owner.
Yeah, I don't really know why they want to keep Miles, to be honest with you.
Right. Okay. Do you think in the next 4 years they're a Super Bowl contender? That's his contract.
They're not even close.
Okay. Do they have a quarterback?
They don't even have a they don't have a quarterback.
Okay.
They don't
You're telling me you'll get 7 first-round picks in the next 3 years?
Do they already have two? Do they already have 2 next year?
Yeah, because of Jacksonville.
Oh, right. Is that who they traded up with? Jacksonville traded up with the Browns?
Forget Travis Hunter.
That's right.
They would have 7 first-round picks in the next 3 years.
Now you can build your lines. You can do what you need to do. Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense, honestly, from their perspective.
And you get that money off your books.
But is it just bad business to get rid of a player that good?
Okay, for what though? What's the end game?
I'm just saying, if they got rid of them, the stands are going to be empty. The jersey sales are like they're not going to have any enthusiasm.
It's Cleveland, bro. It's like Philly. It's not going empty. Dude. You're telling me if the Philadelphia Eagle fans, they're going to show up like they did to the 700 level. They're going to show up whether you win 10 games or 5 games. They're going to that damn stadium.
I don't know. People say it's Madden trade. I thought it was kind of a Madden trade until I texted.
I asked.
People are doing anything, and the Eagles are not the only team to pry Miles Garrett away from Cleveland.
Patriots
and when you get into a situation where you have a player this good and a team who's unwilling to move them, teams will start to go to lengths to get them out of there. That's the one reason that a team could overpay for A.J. Brown right now. Because Howie's like, no. But if someone says, hey, here's our first and a third, Howie's gonna be like, maybe I'll do that, So I don't know. I'll tell you what, Myles Garrett's been my favorite player in the league for a long time. I think he's
ESP has just approved Big Sills' trade. Okay. So
ESP?
A guy over there that is the mouthpiece for the Eagles.
Elliott?
Yeah.
Right.
How about this one here? What do you make of this? 2 ones, AJ and Judy for Garrett.
I'd rather give up 3 ones than give up 2 ones with AJ. Because then you just now I understand your point about the business.
Because then you get Judy to go on the other. He played with Hurts. He played with Devontae. Again, I'm not in any way saying that Judy is in the room with AJ, but I am saying that guess what? You get another quality receiver on the other side. And remember something. If you think the run game's back and you're going to run the football, well, shit, Xander. Myles Garrett makes you do this. Look, here's what you're doing right now. You're looking at the competition. Rams. You're looking at Detroit, Green Bay, right? Here's what those teams are doing if you get Garrett. Watch. They're looking up at you. This is a game-changing place right here. I love the fact he's in the conversation. Remember something. What else did?
Yeah, but here's the other thing.
Do you think he was
I know your world. You want to put AJ in there, but why in God's green earth?
No, if I don't have to, I want it.
But why would Cleveland want a $32 million 28-year-old receiver when they're in hell?
Because next year when I get my first round quarterback that I'm going to put in there,
that's fair.
I've got a superstar wide receiver. Remember, you're not going to rebuild this Cleveland team in 1 year. No,
it's going to take a while. And AJ's going to be out of his prime by the time they're ready.
Right, but he can help the kid go along and move him along here.
Yeah, he can help. He could definitely help a young quarterback develop. I mean, look what he did for Jalen Hurts. He came here for Jalen Hurts.
He'd get all his targets.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, boy, I tell you what, I almost don't even want to go down this road because, like, I don't want to start oohing and ahhing here. I mean, If you got Myles Garrett in Philly, dude, this team. Can you imagine Myles Garrett and Jalen Carter on the same D line?
No, wait, watch. Garrett, Carter, Davis, Hunt, Nolan Smith, Vaughn, Dean, Campbell. That's your front seven. I think you're better than Denver.
Yeah, it would be. Definitely.
Okay, well, let me ask you this then, so that we can put this in context here. Do you believe that Howie Roseman earlier this year was in the Michael Parsons sweepstakes?
He wasn't the Michael Parsons sweepstakes.
Well, then why wouldn't he be in this?
Well, he is in this, but there's also a thought around the league that Barry's not going to move Myles. So some of it is that's why I use the AJ comp. It's the same type of deal. The Eagles insist they're not trading AJ Brown. I'm not of the belief they're trading AJ Brown in the middle of the season. That's what bad teams do. You don't trade great players in the middle.
Unless there's a Garrett involved.
Well, yeah, that's a little bit of a different scenario. But I'm just talking about this is how it's viewed around the league right now. The Barry is insisting they're not trading Myles Garrett. Other teams are calling his bluff and are saying what you're saying. You're in nowhere close to competing. This guy's 29 years old and making $40+ million. You don't need this player. If we give you 2 or 3 ones, you're going to cough him up. I don't know if they will or not, but boy, man, he would be amazing to have on this team. He would be incredible to have on this team. No whole defense, baby, would be back.
Man, I'll tell you what. He'd be the best football player defensively we've had since Reggie White. And that includes Brian Dawkins.
Why did you call me the biggest A.J. Brown fan on the planet? That was a weird comment.
You are. You like him. You want him on the team. I don't give a shit if he's on or not.
He's the best receiver of the Philadelphia.
I care what makes your team better right now.
I do too.
That deal makes you better.
So wait, liking the greatest receiver we've ever had in the history of Philadelphia makes me the biggest A.J. Brown fan in the world. All right, whatever.
Yeah, right. Well, I don't fall in love with players. I don't give a shit about it. I care what makes your team better. And that's what
now, A.J. Brown makes your team better.
Yeah, but we're not talking about any other player. But
if you're talking about you have to get rid of him for Myles Garrett, then yeah, I would do it. But I don't think that's what the deal would be.
I got something else for you too. If your other team's looking around right now, if you're the Cincinnati Bengals and you're the Las Vegas Raiders, don't you do this? Jesus, what would they offer for my guy?
Yeah, but Max Crosby is a great football
I'm not giving the same package, though, dude.
Yeah, he's not even close.
AJ's not in the room with that conversation, and nor 3 ones.
If you put Myles Garrett on our D-line, though, you're like, that's the best D-line in football. If you put Max Crosby, you're like,
on your D-line.
If you put Max Crosby, I think you're like, okay, edge is not a weakness anymore.
No.
I don't think he's a game changer like Myles is.
No, I think he's probably 3rd in the league.
Yeah, but the drop from 1 to 2 in my eyes is pretty big.
And from probably 2 to 3 is bigger. Think about it.
Parsons Who do you have 2?
Parsons on that Green Bay team looks really different.
Parsons is a beast. You know who else is a beast? The dude who got paid yesterday, Hutchinson. That dude terrorized. He's been terrorizing teams all year. I mean, he's a problem in the backfield. He destroys tackles. I like him.
I could not believe that he beat the fucking shit out of Tristan Wirfs.
Yeah, he did.
The way he did. I mean, Tristan's like tremendous. He tortured him. I mean,
he's one of the best tackles in football. It's probably him and Penei Sewell and Lane Johnson are probably
those 3 guys. Yeah. I mean, right. The guy in Los Angeles, when he's healthy, the guy who missed the season is not too bad. And Trent's
just hit me back, so he's good for 515. Great.
I wonder what he's going to think about this. So, Xander, I mean, what do you make of your general manager being involved in a conversation like this?
Good, man. That's what you want. You want a GM who's involved in the convo. I think part of it is there's like 2 ways to look at it, in my opinion, at least right now. Well, there's multiple, but there's 2 ways that I'm looking at it. Rolf Philly was in the chat earlier, and he said something interesting. He's like, this feels like a nothing burger, and Howie's going to end up doing nothing because sometimes they put out these big name rumors, and fans love it, and then when they don't make a move, they're like, oh, well, at least we tried. And that actually makes sense to me because this move does feel a little bit right now like it's not entirely reasonable. I mean, that would be a blockbuster of all blockbusters in the middle of the year here. So
I don't think it's Philly not wanting to. I think it's Cleveland.
But the other way to look at it is this the reason that they went Temu all offseason? Because they've been waiting to make a move like this? I mean, if you think about it, they went cheap everywhere, and they were in on Micah Parsons, and now they're in on Myles Garrett. So it's like it would quantify or make more sense for why Howie handled the offseason the way he did if he ended up acquiring a player of this caliber. They tried to do it with Micah. That's confirmed. Dallas just didn't want to send him in division, which makes sense.
That's right, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, I don't blame them either. But the Eagles were ready to match the offer or more and pay Micah Parsons the 47. So that tells you where the Eagles were on that deal. So, there's, again, they're either going to do nothing and the Temu season will continue, or they're going to write it all and they're going to make it make more sense with an acquisition like this. It'd be pretty crazy. It still feels a little bit out of the realm of possibility for me, trading for Myles Garrett. But, boy, if it happens, holy shit. Look out. The Eagles will be a good football team.
Mary Jo Cabot says that there have been conversations between the two teams.
Yeah, and anytime you hear a conversation, you can just assume everybody Howie's called. Howie gets in every conversation. He said that publicly on a podcast. It's my job to be in every conversation, so at the very least, I know what the market rate is for players around the league. So Howie's calling. I mean, Howie's definitely calling.
It just makes sense.
I texted John about it, and John said it's not as bullshit as you think. Teams think again, Jaden, it's the same thing with AJ. Philly says they're not trading AJ. Other teams think they will. So they're willing to call the Eagles about AJ. Same thing with Myles. Cleveland is saying we're not trading them. Other teams like the Eagles are like, bullshit, you guys aren't ready to win. You'll trade them if we give you good enough compensation for it. Same situation here.
Let me tell you a story, Xander. John Lynch, the current general manager of the San Francisco 49ers, is a friend of mine. And do you know what he told me on the air? You know when they traded for Jimmy Garoppolo? Remember when they traded for Garoppolo?
Yep.
Do you know who he initially asked for?
Who?
Tom Brady. He goes, well, the conversation, remember there was a rumor that there was going to be a handoff, and Belichick wanted Garoppolo to take the baton and go forward and be the heir apparent to Brady. And then Bob Kraft parachuted in and said, wait a minute, we're not trading Brady. Belichick was wanting, one of the reasons he left New England was over that Jimmy Garoppolo. By the way, do you know who the same agents they are? Don Yee. I asked Don Yee this.
That's right. You're buddies with Don Yee, aren't you?
We have had Don Yee on. So here, listen. He initially called for Brady. He goes, we're not trading Brady. He goes, well, how about Garoppolo? That's how they got Jimmy Garoppolo.
Right.
So what would make you think, Xander, that Howie's not calling going, hey, by the way, if you're Cleveland, also you get him out of the AFC. You don't want to go into
there's no, like Cleveland would rather send him to Philly than, I don't know, another team.
Right, I'm not going to play
like the Patriots who need an edge. They're not going to send him to that's invasion. They're not going to send him to somewhere like that.
Why would I send him to a place that has the most cap room and an ascending team in the AFC? Why would I do that?
No, Browns aren't in division. Who Patriots are what? AFC East?
AFC East. They got the Dolphins, they got the Bills, and they got the Jets.
Yeah. And then the North is the Browns, Steelers, Bengals.
Yes.
Yeah, that North is good. AFC North is good. Last year they were. Huh?
It's gotten a lot better, and the East is getting better. One team is getting
the North
better.
is having a bad year, but they got good quarterbacks and shit there. The Browns just feel like even the Ravens at 2-5 and the Bengals at 3-5. The Browns are nowhere in their league.
Nowhere.
Even with their shitty records.
Nowhere. Okay? Nowhere.
If they get rid of Myles,
everything makes sense. Listen to it again. See, I just happen to think, though, that the 3-1s is a little Howie rich.
That's rich for that ain't Howie rich, bro. That is rich. That's rich for anybody. That's rich for Les Snead.
But would you get But would you give 3s for a Super Bowl?
I'd give up the 1s. I would. because I think you're in a rare moment in this organization, and I don't want people to lose sight of that. You don't just right now. It's easy to be a prisoner of the moment. Right now,
havoc.
Right now, we're in a moment though where the Eagles are a Super Bowl contender year in and year out. It's not like that every year. It's not going to be like if you think for the next decade or 2 decades, every single year we're going to be in this conversation. You're wrong. We've had 60 years of Super Bowl era football.
You're in a moment in time.
Yeah, you're in a rare moment. So, like, if you can maximize where you are, I'm not worried about picks who might pan out in 3, 4, 5 years. I don't give a shit about picks. Give me the player who's going to be dominant for the next 3, 4, 5 years. Now, the question would also come into this because it's such a rich asking price. How long do you think Miles will be this good? I know he looks like he's not slowing down, but he is 29. Father Time waits for nobody and absolutely, spares nobody. How much longer do you think Miles? I think he could play amazing for 5 more years. Literally, he's that beastly. But it's fair to wonder that, I think, at this point. He's 9?
Yeah. He'll be 30. He'll be 30 later in the year.
He'll be 30 at the end of December. So, like, how much longer does he have? TJ Watt's 31. He looks like he dropped off a little bit after that deal.
How many years did he sign that new contract extension for?
Miles?
How many? Yeah, how many years?
80 million, wasn't it?
4 years. I think he would be.
No, but I thought they tacked on 2, right? Or no?
Are they 2 void years?
Oh no, 4-year, 160. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, 4 years. I think he'd.
Yeah, so he's under contract technically through 2030.
Okay, I think he'd be dominant for 4 years. Dominant. 4 years. The length of that contract, bro. He's got 10 sacks now.
See, this is what I don't get here because the dead cap hit if they trade him right now post June 1st is $40 million dead cap.
Okay, and his salary's 40. You restructure. What'd your boy do when he came?
Yeah, but is there a way to structure it so the Browns don't have to take that much dead cap?
Yeah. Well, wait. Didn't your guy this Michael Carter guy? Didn't he void out?
He voided out 5 years, but I don't think you can do anything with dead cap. That's money already spent.
Okay. From what I understand, you can restructure and then you can defer.
Well, that you could definitely do. But will the Browns be willing to do that?
Well, you're getting 40 off the books annually.
Yeah, you're picking up a boatload in dead cap, though.
Yeah, the remainder of this year and carry over
25,
a little bit.
You're picking up 20 million in dead cap, and then next year you're getting 41 million in dead cap. That's a lot.
Yeah, but you're going to be younger and you're going to be cheaper.
Versus if they traded him post June 1 next summer, so after next June, the dead cap would be 15 and then 25.
Okay. They want those draft picks.
Yeah, I guess if they had Myles Garrett off the books, then it's
right, because then you're on rookie deals.
They don't have any big contracts over there.
Then you're on rookie deals. Now the question, let me ask you this: would Howie pay that $40 million?
Yeah, fucking kidding me? He was ready to pay 47 for Micah. Myles Garrett is better than Micah Parsons.
So 40, 35.
Myles Garrett is graded as one of the best edges against the run in the NFL.
Yeah, I do know that.
As good as he is in the pass rush and dominating, he's that good against the run too. You
hear how Lane talks about him every time he scrimmages him?
He's insane. This dude, Myles Garrett, is insane. I would not keep 3 ones if you could get Myles Garrett. I want to make that clear. To me, just being honest, it just feels like it's not.
Yeah, but okay, this is why Cleveland blows then. Because, okay, you have no quarterback. You have no fucking future. You can have 7 first rounds in the next 3 years. You get that salary off your books, and you get younger players and lower your salary cap like the Eagles have defensively, having rookie deals. And you get the KI out of the division. How the fuck is that? No, I
hear what you're saying. I'm not saying what you're saying doesn't make sense, but not every, you know what I mean? Sometimes that's not how it all works. It feels like, believe me, I for my business, for the team, for everything, I would love for the Eagles to trade for Myles Garrett. It just doesn't feel realistic right now. Does it feel realistic to you?
Yeah. Yeah. Because it makes
fuck yeah.
It does. Here, listen. I mean,
I don't think
AJ in the deal makes sense.
I don't know how the Browns could pass up 7 first-round picks in the next 3 years.
That's what dude.
I mean, if people are really offering that, which I don't know if they're doing, I don't know.
How do you not
see? Show is bringing logic, but Show, here's the problem with this. He says give up 3 first-round players who will all be under 24 for a 29-year-old. Show, this is the problem. You're assuming that when those players who we draft reach their prime, we're still going to have our Super Bowl window open. Super Bowl windows don't stay open that long. They don't stay open that long.
How about this? As great as Jihad Campbell and as great as you might think Makuba are going to be, and as great as you even think Cooper DeJean is, they're not in that guy's league.
Dude, that's a good way to do it. Like, just take our last 3 first overall picks. Jihad Campbell, Quinyon Mitchell, and who was before that? Jalen Carter?
Yeah. Ugh. Now, one of those guys will ever be in his room.
I know, but would you give up Jalen Carter, Quinyon Mitchell, and Jihad Campbell for Myles Garrett? That's a big haul. Football is a team game, man. There's not one man on the field.
You're going to land on that. You're assuming that, again.
Well, based on the track record, they're drafting well right now.
How do you think Nolan is doing?
Nolan is meh. I mean, he's good. He's a good player, but guy can't stay healthy. I mean, he played 9 games last year. He's already on IR this year. I mean, it is what it is. Is that a guy you pay and you build around? How many games has Myles Garrett missed in his career? I feel like that dude's wreaking havoc every week.
How do you think Jordan Davis is doing?
I think Jordan Davis is going to get paid. I think he's having a good year. I like what Jordan Davis has done.
Okay. Once again, Jordan Davis, I mean, as good as that guy's going to be. Okay.
Well, if you take the worst of our picks and you say, would you give up Nolan Smith and Jordan Davis for Myles Garrett? Then hell yeah, I would. So I guess it's fair comp because you don't know.
Jordan Davis, I mean, for Myles Garrett, would you make that dude?
I don't think they're paying Nolan. I don't think they're going to pay Nolan Smith, and I think the Carter contract's down $8 million. What we thought. We thought it was going to be 40. It looks to me like it's going to be 30, 32, maybe 34, 35. So you're getting money back there, and if you're not paying Nolan, it's easy to justify paying Garrett.
Man, dude, it's
blowing. In my opinion, Myles Garrett's the best football player in the NFL and has been for the last 5 years.
He is.
And there's nobody close. That's my personal opinion on the player.
Hey, now, hey, don't blame me here. I don't know. I mean, I got a call from the Cleveland radio station before I went on. And those guys at 102.5, they went like this because the afternoon guy's a friend of mine. He goes, hey, you hearing this shit? Ray Joe Cabot came out and said that the Eagles have contacted Andrew Berry throughout the entire bye week about the potential of trading for Myles Garrett. And I went, get the fuck out of here. So I asked Highsmith. Highsmith goes, oh, yeah. Dan Morgan, the GM of the Carolina Panthers, goes, oh, yeah, they're listening. They're not shopping. They're listening, and people are calling. And I'm like, what are they offering? He goes, some people, a team offered 3 first-rounders for him. And I go, who is that? He goes, well, a team in the NFC East, that's for sure. Now, that could be the Cowboys.
It could be. It could be.
That could be the Cowboys doing that.
It could be.
Okay? Because the Cowboys got picks, didn't they, from the Michael Parsons deal? Didn't they get picks from that?
They got 2. So technically what the Cowboys would do if they did that is they would have sent Michael Parsons and a 1 basically to get Myles Garrett, which I would do. I like Michael Parsons. Myles Garrett is Myles Garrett.
Hey, I'm just saying that. The Cowboys could be that.
Remember this. Andrew Berry is a Howie Roseman disciple.
Yes, he is. He worked with him.
So they're buddies. I mean, he more than worked with them. Andrew Berry had a big role here in Philly.
Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
I mean, he
I think it's the role that Joe Douglas is in now.
Yeah. Well, no, it was higher than that. Joe Douglas got
right?
Well, what's Joe Douglas now? Assistant GM?
I think he's the head of Pro personnel.
He's a senior personnel director. No, Andrew Berry, I think, was the assistant GM. Andrew Berry, Eagles. Like, he was the VP of football operations.
Wow. Okay, well, he was his right-hand man then.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Andrew Berry and Howie were close.
Is that the guy that in Las Vegas? Is that the role that he took for like the road?
Yeah, who went there again? That was the contract guy. That was the
okay.
What's that guy's name?
I forget what he was. He was in the organization a long time too, by the way.
Anthony Patch. No, he was the scouting guy, senior director of scouting. So 2 scouting guys went to the Raiders. There was no contract guy. Sorry, I got that wrong. Senior personnel executive. That's what he joined the Raiders as. Okay,
so dude, it's picking steam up and Cleveland is saying right now that
it's gonna have steam. I mean, but
is it a simmer?
I don't know why this feels so crazy to me. I mean, the thought of getting Myles Garrett has always been like my dream trade for the Eagles, and it just doesn't feel like it's going to happen. But shit, if it does, holy gosh, we will be going nuts here. You will be. I'll be teasing you every day. I'll be coming on the show with clippers that are on. Just buzzing in the microphone.
Eagles are super hot after Myles Garrett.
Yeah, what a weird word to use, by the way. Super hot after Garrett. Who the fuck put that up?
I think that's Mary Jo.
Eagles, Myles Garrett. Let's see what they're saying. Myles Garrett trade rumors. Let's look.
It's all over.
Mm-hmm.
Funny, they weren't on
bleeding green. NFL insider Charles Robinson recently had the following to say during an appearance on ESPN's Nashville 102.5.
I text him.
Rumor going around, I have not heard it out of the Eagles, but I've heard from a couple of other super high-ranking people and other teams.
Yep.
That other teams that are clearly on the phones. The Howie Roseman and the Eagles are super high after Myles Garrett. That Howie would give up like 3 first-round picks for him. Which makes sense because of how in they were on Micah. They were in with the 2-1s on Micah.
And that's why I called Alonzo and Dan Morgan. And they confirmed it.
Holy shit, dude. If we got Myles Garrett.
They confirmed it. I believe. Bro, how are you not believing that? You were in on Micah.
I'm not saying I don't believe it. I just don't know if it's actually going to happen.
Because you're dealing with a shit organization. I can't wait to talk to Baldy later. And I can't wait to talk to Balzer. He's also plugged in.
Let me check Balzer.
Hey, those guys are all like NFL plugged in guys, man. I mean, bro.
It's going to be interesting to see what Balzer says.
I mean, he'll tell you flat out, look, there's no better player at any position. Here's the only guys that are better than him in the league. Mahomes. Maybe Allen.
Who's better than him?
Garrett.
I don't think Mahomes is better than him. You think Mahomes is a better quarterback than Myles Garrett is defensive end? Myles Garrett's the number 1 rated pass rusher and the number 1 rated run stopper. Huh?
Jimmy Johnson told me if you put Mahomes on the open market, he'd get 5 1s.
Well, he's a quarterback. That's a different question. He's obviously more valuable. That goes without saying.
Okay, I'm going to go by that metric, what you just said. No, I don't think that Mahomes is better as a football player than Garrett is as a defensive football player. No, I do not.
I agree. I don't think he is. To me, Myles Garrett's the best player in the NFL.
And he, like you said, and he has been. Like it's
Cap says Mahomes is better than him. I don't know, man. It's close.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Let me get you some Eagle questions here. By the way, we'll do some supers here in a minute. Coming out of the bye, you think there's going to be a more of a focus running the ball or throwing the ball?
I think this hybrid approach
Heading into that Green Bay game.
I think this hybrid approach is going to keep up. I think they're going to try and use this play action more and under center more. And we might have a chance to have a different looking offense than really we've had in the last 4 years. I mean, we've had a lot of good offensive play in the last 4 years, but we have also not seen a play action offense. And by the way, the other thing I'll say about A.J. Brown, I know everybody's all, oh, A.J. this, A.J. Nobody will thrive more in our offense than A.J. Brown if they start to do play action. That is his game. That is his game. You play action pass and you run him on slant routes across the middle or hitches or goes or any of those things, slants, I mean, that he will dominate if they start playing that. So I'm hoping that's what they start to do on offense. Let me text Balzer back. Check spam on your – all right, here we go. So I think that's going to be the approach. Under center, more balance.
What do you think they want to get more involved coming out of the bye? AJ or Barkley?
Probably both. But probably
Pick
Barkley.
Barkley?
Barkley. I mean, you got to run the football, Yeah. And I know it's funny because there was some dude in here yesterday who was like, Sil's moving the goalpost again. He said he wanted the run game to get going, and then they run, and now he moved the goalpost. I'm like, dude, 1 game out of 8 games is not – that's not a trend. That's not a realistic – right now, that's the outlier. Until they prove that a couple more weeks, it's not moving goalposts. So the team still has to get the run game going consistently, and I think that's more important than getting AJ going.
Can I tell you that I think what is the most dangerous thing about these trade rumors is that it's going to alienate a lot of people towards A.J. Brown because people are going to automatically want to put him into a trade to move him, and it's going to create, I think, a little bit of a negativity towards him that he doesn't respond well to. Now, I mean, do you not agree? Everybody's got A.J.'s name in this thing here. Everybody's throwing it out. First thing is because they want to get rid of the guy. Would you not agree? Do you think half your fan base wants him gone and the other doesn't want him gone?
No.
Or do you think that's a lower number?
I think that's a way lower number. I do not think half the Eagles fan base wants A.J. Brown gone.
20%?
And if they did, it would show you the collective IQ of our fan base as being fucking dumbasses. We've been waiting 20 plus years to get a fucking wide receiver in the building. Now we got 2 of them that are so damn good. And you're telling me fans don't want A.J. Brown gone. Come on, man. These fans know. These fans know. No way. There's no way I'm buying that.
Okay. What percentage do you believe wants him gone?
5 to 10, maybe, if that. I'll say this. I think 50% is fair if you're saying they want him to shut up or stop on social media. That to me is fair. 50% of the Eagles fans want him to quit the social media bullshit and just play team ball. That would be fair. Wanting him gone is a big reach.
It is. It's a different conversation.
Yeah, it's a different combo.
It is. I agree. What do you make of Green Bay, man?
In what regard?
Like as a contender? Made it vague. What do you make of them as a unit that you're going to play coming out of the bye here? I
think they're a really good team.
That's a pretty good test, and it's on the road at Lambeau.
Well, this is what I think is a little bit more significant about the game as compared to some of the games we've played this year. I know we've had a tough schedule, and we've had some really good teams on the schedule, but you had the Chiefs for week 2. You had the Rams week 3, and you had the Bucks week 4. So I know you won those games, but we all talk about the first 4 weeks as being like the new preseason.
Yeah.
But once you get wins in those games, you can't just look back and say, okay, that we're better than those teams. We were better on that day in September. This is now week 10. Both teams are somewhat established in what they think they're going to be this year or what their aspirations are for the team, what their offensive plans are, what their defensive plans are, things like that. So I think it's 2 more established heavyweights going at it as compared to when you play the Rams in week 3. Yeah, it's good, but that's so early in the year. Matthew Stafford didn't play all summer. I mean, Jalen didn't play all summer. AJ didn't play all summer. you're still kind of finding your feet, I think, in week 3. So I think from that perspective, the game is bigger than any of the games we had in the beginning of the year. But I'm going to kind of throw water on it a little bit, which I know you probably don't want me to do, but I'm going to. You can't get too high or too low on this game. It's still a regular season game. I understand it's NFC. This team doesn't beat the Packers on Monday night and say, okay, we're going to the Super Bowl. And they don't lose to the Packers and say, okay, we're not going to the Super Bowl. Now we're going to judge it. We're going to analyze it. We're going to break it down how they play. We're going to look at it as a matchup of what team is better. Absolutely. But that's a regular season game. They got to go into Lambeau. They got to handle business. They got to play their game. They got to throw Jordan Love off his spot. They got to be efficient on offense, run the football well. And I think they're going to walk out of there with a win.
Okay. I am looking at it a little bit more like you, whereas I'm not looking at the 4 quarters. I'm looking at the next 8 quarters of football with Detroit and with Green Bay. Inside those next 8 quarters, for both teams, for all 3 teams, okay? Injuries, war of attrition, how you're playing, seeding in playoffs, all of that are going to come out of these next 8 quarters.
Yeah, 100%.
Not everybody's going to be healthy coming out of these games. Okay? You're not.
When's the Lions bye week?
I think it's in
week
2 weeks.
8. So their bye week was last week.
Last week.
And they're playing the Vikings this week.
Which will be tough. Okay? That's a divisional game. That'll be tough.
Rushy, don't make me drool up here. Myles Garrett and Kelly Green, you got to be kidding me, man. Are you kidding me? I will give away so many fucking Myles Garrett jerseys on this channel. You guys won't even know what to do with yourself. I'll be giving away Myles Garrett jersey to Dusty Grays. That's how many Myles Garrett jerseys I'll give away if we get him.
Bro, I think you're in the conversation. You know what? Somebody just text me and they go, how real do you think it is? I told them, I said, I think it's 75% real. I go, I think there's a 75%. I go, and the only reason it's not 100% for me is because it's the Browns. If you were dealing with a competent organization, I would think, how we sent it to you. Let me double check. We sent it to you. We sent it, Howard. We sent it. Okay.
I just texted him. He's good.
Okay.
When did he text you that? Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he texted me earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, he's good.
So I mean, I think it's 75% real, and I think
it's definitely real. It's 100% real. What's also real is that Barry is giving the impression to GMs that he's not trading them. So you're having a moment here where teams are kind of trying to lure him off the perch a little bit. Come on, Andrew. If I give you 3 1s, you know what I mean? It's kind of that type of thing, I think.
See, what I don't think that the Browns want to do is I don't think they want to send him to a shitty team. But they want to return.
They want to send him to the NFC. You can't send him to the AFC.
I think if it's an NFC team, an AFC team, I think it's a really shitty AFC team. But if it's an NFC team, I think that's where you want to, like you said, you want to trade there. Hey, I wouldn't count out the Cowboys and the 49ers not being involved in this.
49ers aren't going to do it. They're already paying Nick Bosa. Huh?
I mean,
I just think they're already paying Bosa. So, and because he's out this year,
they're in the market for an edge.
I know they are, but I think they're in the market for a Bradley Chubb. I don't think they're in the market for a Garrett. They have a Garrett. I mean, he's not as good as Garrett, but they have one, and he's on the bench. Wouldn't you want to pair? If you're going to trade for Garrett, wouldn't you want to team him up with Nick and Fred Warner? They have neither of those two guys.
Detroit has the second most cap space.
Detroit could be interesting. Although, they're signing guys left and right.
You put them on the other side of Aiden Hutchinson?
Oh, gosh, that'd be nasty. That'd be nasty.
But Green Bay.
Green Bay
doesn't have the assets.
Yeah, they just traded for Micah, so they're not doing it.
Yeah, they sent him to Dallas. But Kansas City. Nah, AFC. I don't believe that they would trade him in there.
Yeah, and the 49ers did just get Keon White. That's right.
They got him from Buffalo?
No, Patriots.
Patriots, okay. But the Rams. Rams got cap space.
Rams would be scary too because they got Verse and he's on a rookie contract for another couple of years. So
They got that Fisk guy in there too on a rookie.
Braden Fisk. Yeah, they got some good players over there with the Rams. I like the Rams, man. I think the Rams are a really good team. I think we got the Rams at the right time. I mean, that's why I said what I said earlier about this game is bigger just because it's not a September game. You're week 10. Your teams are more established at this point. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's that many. If the Eagles are honestly giving 3, which sounds to me like, I understand it's Myles Garrett, but does anybody really think Howie Roseman, of all people, is going to send 3 1s?
To me, it makes more sense with 2 1s and a player.
I'll do this. I'll do 2 1s.
Because you know why? Well, you know why?
2 1s and Nolan Smith. Sign me up. Sign me up.
For a hurt player? No way.
I need a guy. 2 1s and Jalix?
Listen, maybe that. I would say, and plus he's showing signs.
I'd rather keep Jalix if you're Philly, but I get it.
Remember, if you're trading in season, you want a player back. If you trade out of season, then it's when you do your picks, and it's all about draft.
Well, if you're the Browns, you don't really want a player back.
I don't think so. Like, what would be the reasoning of bringing AJ in when you don't have anybody to throw him the ball? Unless you're going to start Shador.
Look at Rob. He called me a stunad. I respect the Italian slang there. Are you a stunad? Rob, how do you know they offered 3 first-rounders for Parsons, dickhead? Oh, yeah, what, a fucking fairy fly into your room at night and tell you that, Rob?
Stunad. I respect
it. How the fuck do you know? This guy, they offered 3 for Micah. No, they didn't, dickhead. The report was 2, and they were willing to match the 47. Throw in an extra mid-round pick. Nowhere was it reported or talked about that the Eagles were willing to give 3 1s. Stunad.
Stunad.
No, it hasn't. He's saying it's being reported. Go look, fucking dick. Find me the link.
You hear that, Gabagool?
Alexander Krause on social media.
Hey, you hear that, Gabagool? How do you know?
You call me a fucking stunad. If you're going to call me a stunad, be right, Rob 5657. The fuck?
All right, let's get to these supers, man. By the way, go over the ones that I fucked up too, will you?
You were fine. I got to be honest. I understand you're not the best, reader in the world, but some of these dudes are writing in tongues today, man. I didn't know what the fuck they were saying. Here's Philly Eagle. Do you think AJ would rather stay here or have 120 targets in Cleveland from Lil Man Gabriel? That's a hilarious nickname. Gabriel stinks. They should play Shador.
I think he'd like the 120 targets.
You think he would, even from that shithead quarterback?
When a city like Cleveland would love him.
That dude's a stiff.
He is. That's what makes it even more sense to move Myles Garrett. You got stiffs playing quarterback, bro. I mean, fuck, you're going nowhere. You're just going.
I got to rip Rob one more time. Is that even how you spell Stunad? It's not. S-T-U, right?
Stunad.
Yeah, S-T-U-N-A-D. You're a fucking Stunad, you fucking Stunad. Are you kidding me? Spell it right.
He spelled Stunad like he's from Iowa.
Yeah, exactly. Like a classic American. Big Fish says, nobody wants A.J. Brown gone, but for Myles Garrett, bye, A.J. I understand that one, Big Fish. Here's Big Fish again. Only way Howie gives up 3 1s is if he's trading A.J. for a 1 and some change. Ooh.
Bro, there's A.J. Brown in a trade for Myles Garrett makes sense. A.J. Brown in a trade for Trey Hendrickson doesn't.
Yeah, look at this. Bobo says, Tanner, 2 firsts, a third for Garrett and Sanders.
Tanner.
Oh, no.
Fucking Tanner. Tanner McKee, man. You mean Jalen Hurts.
Fuck off. What are you talking about? Here's Stephen Mostella. Will the Eagles' late draft positions make them a less attractive option than a team like the Cowboys?
That's why it's 3 1s, because it is down there. Offering up 2 1s at, hey, look, offering 2 1s at 6, That makes sense. Offering
Let me give you one
3-1.
more variable, though. Most teams, now if you're the Browns, maybe this is different, but most teams don't want that many picks in the top 10 because you're not going to be able to pay everybody once their contracts come, and also there are much more expensive contracts from the jump.
But you parlay them up to move up in the draft.
Right.
Take the 30.
But also there's value to having the Browns picks are going to suck. So they're going to be in the top 5 or top 10 with those picks. And then if you have the Eagles picks, you're in the 20s or hopefully in the 30s. I don't know.
I got to tell you something about Howie here. I've never seen a guy utilize 5, 6, and 7s as a general manager better than Howie Roseman of any general manager I have ever seen. I've never seen a guy take those 5, 6, and 7s and turn them into assets and turn them into players that end up playing for you. I mean, those are usually throwaway picks to some GMs.
That's Howie vision, baby.
He does a great job.
What's up, Deem? Big Sills and Z. What are you all willing to give up? I think 3-1s is my threshold. I mean, that already seems ridiculous to me. But for a player like that, I mean, that's what it's going to cost, I would imagine. Here's Khaled. The Garrett deal just makes too much sense for both teams. Yeah. I think that's fan thinking. I mean,
But it does.
It does make sense, but it just feels so far-fetched.
As we're going through these super chats, before we get Howard Balzer up, I want him to be prepped for this, that the comments being made out there, and Mary Jo Cabot, and he knows who she is. I believe she's a Hall of Fame voter, if I'm not mistaken. She may not be.
She's plugged in. She's plugged in.
She is.
There's no doubt about it.
The conversation out there is 3-1s potentially from the Eagles for Myles Garrett.
I feel like Howard's either going to say yeah, or he's going to say you guys are a bunch of idiots.
But here, let's
Howie
put
Roseman and get rid of 3 first-round picks.
If you're the Browns, though, you get 7 first-round picks in the next 3 years.
Yeah, I hear you.
You have no quarterback, and you get that money off the books.
Kimberly says, Big Z, are we talking about a 5-year Super Bowl window? That's long. 5-year windows in the NFL, you're looking at 2 to 3 and retool.
3 years is an eternity.
Yeah, 3 years. Now they could elongate it by smart moves, but right now 3. Big fish, little boat. Or we tell AJ to STFU, cry in the corner, you sign the contract. Well, that could be it could be what they do. Fellas, if that trade was possible, why would they take the Eagles' offer? If the best player in the NFL is available, there would be plenty of suitors.
Because it's the Browns and it's Jimmy Haslam. He's one of the worst owners in pro football. Well,
I don't think you're going to have many GMs that are willing to give 3-1s. The only reason the Eagles might be willing to give 3-1s is because your roster is built. Most other teams, even some of the teams who are the best, look at the Buffalo Bills. You think they're giving up 3-1s? Dude, they need those ones. They can't just sign a great edge rusher and be good.
But that's not a great roster, the Bills.
That's my point. The Eagles are one team that's roster is so good they can
surrender the 3-1s.
They might look at the ones and say, "I'll get rid of them."
Yeah.
Last one, Tanner and AJ. That's not going to get the job done. All right, that's not going to get the job.
Philly 500 just
put Philly 500. It's hard to believe this could be true. Do the trade, Brown. You trade maybe Nolan Smith. If you can recoup the pick trading AJ in the offseason, you have to. Dak is crapping himself. Well done yesterday. You demolished Stills and Mark Holmes yesterday.
He's stupid.
We haven't seen a performance like that, Philly, since the Super Bowl back in February. That type of belt to ass. Always Sunny says, y'all would give up 3 firsts and the ability to sign Jalen Carter. Why do you think they would?
That would not affect that. That would not affect that. You do exactly what they did to Devontae. You pick up the 5th-year option, and then you prorate it out like they did with Devontae's contract. Devontae's not getting on that $25 million contract for another 2 years.
Dude, also, we were thinking $25 million for Nolan Smith. If they trade for Myles Garrett, they're not paying Nolan Smith.
No, they're not paying Nolan Smith.
No.
Nolan Smith, who? By the way, so we got Brian Baldinger at 5:15 too. Yeah, I can't wait to hear what a guy who is complete. I love the fact we get Hall of Fame guys on here. Okay, we had Ray Didinger yesterday. 100%. Now we're going to get
brother, good stuff, man. I'll listen
Howard
to you and Howard and you and Baldy.
All right, brother. I will see you tomorrow at Birds 365.
Thank you, brother.
You got it, man. We appreciate it. Kyle, we'll get to this here in a minute when we come back. I wonder what Howard's going to say here because, again, I do believe that Mary Jo Cabot is a Hall of Fame voter. She's one of the 50 people in the room. I talk to Armando Salguero every week, Jason Cole every week, and when we get a chance, we talk to our friend Howard Balzer, who we've known forever, and also to Jared Bell. You guys know he's been on the program numerous times. And we talk to the most plugged-in people we can possibly get to talk these kind of issues here. And it's being floated around right now that Howie Roseman has contacted Andrew Berry, the general manager of the Cleveland Browns, and has offered a potential 3 first-round package up for Myles Garrett. How true and how good is this guy? Let's go to our friend here. He is without a doubt one of the most plugged-in people on the planet. He is our friend Howard Balzer. He joins us right now. How you doing, Howard?
I'm doing well. Glad I connected a few minutes early here so I could hear the end of that conversation so you wouldn't be blindsiding me.
I mean, yeah, I'm glad because you know what? I wanted you to hear what has been going on here a little bit. And you tell me, I mean, this just now, listen, some organizations, you understand why. When you look at certain organizations and you look at them and you know why they're the Browns. Look at how much this makes sense. If you trade the 3-1s to Cleveland, albeit they're down at the bottom, if you're thinking that the Eagles over the next couple of years are going to be picking down in the 30s or in the late 20s, those are kind of top of the second round kind of guys. Totally. So you'd have to offer multiple picks up to try to be able to give those guys that kind of equity to be able to make that type of deal. The salary, too, he makes north of $40 million. But how about this for the Browns? You don't have a quarterback. You're not in the Super Bowl window. You'll have 7 first-round picks in the next 3 years, and you get that money off the books. How does that not make sense? And do you think it's too much? And tell me what you think of the player in Myles Garrett.
Well, first, you made the key point of where that pick is going to be in the round, and where those picks will be, rather. And I would argue, and the thing I've been told by many personnel people over the year, and this is true as anything, every year in the draft, it's not only in the 20s in the first round. When you get halfway through the first round, there's very few teams, there's very few players that are rated as true number 1 picks. So you're taking basically second-round picks halfway through the round and then through the rest of the round. And so now from the Browns standpoint, if they have all these multiple picks, obviously it gives you flexibility to move around. But if you start giving up those extra picks to get a guy a little higher in the round, have you really helped yourself? Obviously, the key is making good picks, good choices with those selections. But that's the key. I mean, Myles Garrett is in the group of the best edge rushers in the NFL. And so and Howie Roseman is one of those guys, you know, every team says it, Dan, but the Eagles live it with Howie Roseman. And I always like to point to a quote that Andy Reid had at the Super Bowl, in last season's Super Bowl. Someone asked him about Roseman and all the years he was with him. And he says, the thing about him is that he knows that where games are won is in the trenches, and they live that. And they're always looking to upgrade that. And heck, the reason the Eagles were able to win that Super Bowl was essentially because of the play of their offensive and defensive lines. And that's what they do. Andy Reid also said, which I always use when, the people everywhere, when an offense struggles with a team, what is the first reaction? Oh, the quarterback sucks. The play caller sucks. But they don't look at anything around the quarterback. Many times it's about the offensive line. And Andy Reid said that. If you don't have an offensive line, I don't care who your skill guys are. I don't care who your quarterback is. You're not going to be able to function consistently, and especially in those critical parts of games, which is third down, red zone, fourth quarter, and all those things. So that's Howie Roseman's belief in how you build a team. The key will be, I think the point was made about Jalen Carter isn't a bad one. Milton Williams made huge money. Josh Sweat made huge money off that Super Bowl last year when it was really Jalen Carter that stirred the drink, because he was being doubled and at times triple teamed in that game because he's an inside game wrecker. So obviously the Eagles will find a way to sign him. And let's remember, when you sign him to his long-term deal, whenever it is, it's very cap friendly in the first few years, usually low base salaries, signing bonus prorated into the future. So from that standpoint, it's certainly, you can see it makes sense, for the Eagles. It's strange that this story gets out there. I mean, who's talking? Who's yapping about this? Is that an effort to see if the Browns can get more from some other team? Who knows? But it is the Browns. That was one of your first comments. This is the Browns. This is the Browns that made one of the worst deals in NFL history when they signed Deshaun Watson, right? And gave him the money they did, gave up, well, not only the signing was the contract, but then the trade, giving up what they did. I mean, that was
guarantees.
Yeah, exactly. All guaranteed. And I've always said this about that, and not many look at it the way I do. When you're getting a franchise, who you believe is your franchise quarterback, and he's still relatively young, 5 years guaranteed, most of that money is going to be paid anyway if the guy keeps playing at the level that you expect him to play at. So making base salaries guaranteed in seasons where the guy's going to be there, I think skews the narrative on all that. But obviously, they knew what was going on with Watson off the field. They didn't know he was going to get injured, and it's been an awful deal. But like you said, it is the Browns, and you just never know. I mean, I was looking at this the other day when they were talking about Jordan Love with the Packers when they were playing the Steelers, right? And here are two paragons of consistency in the NFL. The Steelers with 3 head coaches since 1969, right? The Packers essentially with 3 quarterbacks since 92 or 93. I mean, what other team can say that because of, that consistency? And so that's what you need to have, to be able to compete. But these other teams don't follow it. Fire the coach, do this. I mean, it's just chaos. And there's good evidence of what works in the NFL, and the stability and consistency is so important. But how many franchises truly have that? And that's what we're looking at here. And by the way, 3 quarterbacks for the Packers since 92, 93. The Browns, since they came back in the NFL, I think it was 1999, have had 41 starting quarterbacks.
Wow.
41.
Wow.
I mean, it's just crazy.
How about this, Howard? Also, something else to that number with the Packers is that 3 dudes have taken 96% of the snaps. I mean, so you're talking about 3 guys in that whole 30 years plus here. You made a great comment.
Well, I said real quick, essentially 3 guys, because, when they haven't played, it's because they miss games because of injury.
Yeah.
Or whatever it might be. And the other part of it, too, is that no teams can, and granted, when they drafted Aaron Rodgers, it was later in the round. When they drafted Jordan Love, it was later in the round. So there wasn't the pressure of playing the guy right away as there is if you pick the guy in the top 10. And what they do, they made Rodgers sit. They made Jordan Love sit. These other teams don't do that. They just put the young quarterback in there right away most of the time. And then it's to a bad team. Then they change, and there's a new offensive coordinator, or it is whatever it is. And I always go back to the quote that Kevin O'Connell, the coach of the Vikings, said. He said, "I believe that organizations fail young quarterbacks more than young quarterbacks fail organizations."
You have been one of the very first people, and folks, he was part of ESPN at the beginning when they were doing the draft and putting the draft together. Howard, to the conversation today about the 3-1s, I've always said, I call them my sandbox guys. I said last year there were probably 7 guys that you would really legitimately call, maybe 10 guys, first-round picks. And like you said, the rest of them are like, could be anywhere from 2s to 3s, but because it's a first round. And when we say 30th pick in the draft, and if the Eagles are offering up these 3-1s, how many people do you believe in a respected draft? Now, this draft is expecting to be pretty deep coming up this coming season. But in your opinion, what's that number? Just to put in perspective for fans. So when they hear 3-1s, and you know what people do. Oh my God, it's 3 first-rounders.
Exactly.
How many people on a normal basis do you really believe are first-round worthy in a year-to-year draft?
Well, like I said right at the top, I've been told this. Gil Brandt told me it years and years ago. Other personnel guys have said it to me. It's basically the first half of the draft have first round grades.
So you're saying 15 guys?
Yeah, 15, 16. And then they say the next quote round, halfway through the first round, halfway through the second round, those are second round picks, essentially. And that's truly what it is. Now, that doesn't mean that just because a guy doesn't have a first round grade that he won't come in and be a really good player for you. Obviously, we see that with players picked in the second half of the round. But as we also know, there's no guarantees. And so obviously what the Browns are looking at, they have to try to, rebuild this roster. And like you said, they don't have a quarterback. You only need one pick for that. But, who knows how that's going to play.
You just mentioned 41 quarterbacks.
Well, that's true. Now, and that's a lot of different organizations and a lot of different head coaches. And I think they got a pretty darn good head coach there. He just has to have the right guy. But, the point being is you get all those picks and you can parlay that into excellent players if you do your job right. I mean, hey, let's look at one of the greatest trades in NFL history. When the Dallas Cowboys traded Herschel Walker and got a whole bunch of draft picks, there weren't a lot of first rounders in there, right? But they got a lot of picks, and they built that roster, that Super Bowl roster, based on that trade with picks in other rounds. I'll never forget the draft. I'm trying to remember. It was 85, 86, somewhere around there, where the 49ers were around the middle of the first round. And Bill Walsh didn't like what was there, and he traded down, and he traded down, and he traded down like 3 or 4 times and picked up a bunch of extra second and third round picks, and they built that Super Bowl roster around those guys. But that's the key, having the system in place that will be consistent and picking the right players to fit that system that you are playing to get some consistency and stability on that roster and enable you even to have a chance to win. Doesn't mean you will, but at least it gives you a chance if you're bringing in the right people.
That's right. That's how they got Pierce Holt, was that Pierce Holt went in the second round because previous year that Coach Walsh had traded down. And that, give me your assessment on Myles Garrett. I want the fans to know, I look at him. I didn't know what I was looking at when he came out of Texas A&M, but boy, if you look at his sacks since he first came on the scene, he's averaging like 13, 14 sacks a year. I mean, he's at 10 already, albeit he got 5 in the previous game. So you got to kind of take that number and look at it a little bit. But Myles Garrett to you has been what in the NFL?
Well, he's one of the best. And here's one of the things about it. We get all hung up on sacks, which is understandable. But if you get 14 sacks in a season, you probably played anywhere from, maybe close to 1,000 snaps,
right?
Maybe 800, depends on what a rotation it is. So what do you do on all those other plays? That's the key, right? And to get those sacks on a team that hasn't won very much, that's hard because a lot of sacks, they come in bunches and they come when obviously in known pass situations, which is usually when you're ahead in the game and the Browns aren't ahead in a lot of games. So he's done that on a team that hasn't been very good. And on those other plays, as I mentioned, he's getting pressures. I mean, he's good against the run. And he's one of those guys that when the offense prepares for that team in that week, he's the guy that you have to account for. And there's not a whole lot of those guys in the league. There are, several, but those are the guys that the other team has to account for in their game plan. And whether that means chipping with another guy, well, what happens if you chip with another guy? It's taking somebody out of the pass pattern. So a lot of times it's reducing what you'll be able to do in the offense. But he is that guy that you have to do that against. And then it'll be even more if you put him on the Eagles. Are you kidding me? I mean, it's hard to imagine what the production might be. And I'm sure that's what he's looking at. I mean, you would say on the base surface that there's no. Let's look at it this way: franchise player compensation in the NFL. If you're a franchise player and a team signs a guy to an offer sheet and the team doesn't match it, you get 2 first-round picks. So let's assume that makes sense. And there's a value on franchise players of 2 first-round picks. So they're giving 1 extra for the guy, right? Of those 2, and that'll come down the road in a few years. And who knows what else they might be able to do to recoup that or whatever. But the Eagles, as many teams do, they make good picks throughout the draft, right? It's not only in the first round. They're making that 4th round pick hit and that 6th round pick and those guys. the good talent evaluators and the good teams are able to do that and build a deep and talented roster.
What do you make of Vic Fangio as a coordinator? I mean, he would be playing for him. I was having a conversation with one of the legendary Philadelphia guys and Ray Didinger. We were talking, and he was a former Hall of Fame voter, by the way, as you know. And we were talking about, some of the greatest defensive coordinators. They've had a bunch of them, Jim Johnson, Monty. They've had also Buddy Ryan, I should say, not Monty Kiffin. He's down in Tampa. But, I mean, what do you look at Vic? I mean, he's been in the sport over 40 years. He had his first #1 overall ranked defense this past year, and he won his very first Super Bowl. He's been an innovator in the game with the 2-high safety. What do you make of him as an innovator in the game?
He's one of the best. And like you mentioned others. There's been a number of them. I've always felt, I don't want to get into a long Hall of Fame conversation, but it's hard to get head coaches into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. There's basically not a spot for the great assistant coaches that there are. And the Hall of Fame created these awards of excellence that award assistant coaches, each year. But that's not the same as having a bust in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But we could off the top of our head list 25 guys, offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, offensive line coaches that are Hall of Fame worthy. And Fangio is definitely one of those guys. Now, I'll say this. I've always believed this about coaching. Obviously, is important. Some people, when I say what I'm going to say, "Oh, you're saying coaching isn't important." Well, of course it's important. There's no doubt about it. But it's still a matter of having the players, and still a matter of those guys executing what you're coaching. Because if that doesn't happen, you're not going to win. And I'll always remember one of the great lines ever of a guy, by the way, who turned 89 today, a walking miracle. Dick Vermeil turned 89 today. And I'll never
birthday, Coach.
He comes to the Rams, right? When they're in St. Louis, after the Rams had won 7 games and 6 games in their first 2 seasons there. And he puts together this coaching staff that everyone was saying, "Oh, what a great coaching staff," with all these veteran guys. And then they win 5 games and 4 games, right? And everyone's, "Oh, the game has passed them by," right? The game, and he cares about the players too much. He gets too emotional, blah, 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 right? Well, then it brings in Mike Martz. They sign Trent Green. They draft Orlando Pace, bring in a bunch of other players. Trent Green gets hurt, and Kurt Warner, who falls out of the sky. But the bottom line is what Vermeil said when they went to the Super Bowl after winning 4 games the year before. He said, "I became a much better coach when I had better players." And any great head coach will acknowledge that. You still have to have the players. And it's not only more talented, it's more players that are coachable, that are win-first guys, that are all about the team. And then you have to stay healthy. That's another side story, obviously. But those are the things important. But there's no doubt that if you made a list of the great defensive coordinators of all time, Vic Fangio's in that group.
We had Kurt Warner on 2 days ago.
I heard a little
bit. He was on the program, and we had him on, and we were talking. By the way, did you present him?
I helped when Kurt went in and Orlando Pace went in. Bernie Miklasz from St. Louis was the representative of St. Louis for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And he presented Isaac Bruce for his first or second year of eligibility. And then after the Rams moved, Bernie kind of moved off the committee. I was at large. And so, but since being in St. Louis, I presented Isaac Bruce when he got in. I presented Torrey Holt. And so, but for Warner and Pace and other Rams guys, I would join the conversation after Bernie made the initial presentation. So I definitely contributed, but he was the main presenter there. And so I got another year presenting Torrey Holt. I'm hoping there's not too many more years of that. But but yeah, with Warner, it was interesting because Orlando Pace didn't go in his first year of eligibility.
Crazy.
He and Kurt Warner were the guys who made the final 15. And Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt, all 4 of those guys became eligible at the same time, which I think in a way hurt some of them, because when Orlando didn't get in the first year, the next year he got in and Kurt Warner didn't. He got in the next year, and that pushed back Isaac Bruce from becoming a finalist, and then that pushed back Torrey Holt. And so, for example, Reggie Wayne has been a finalist all 6 years of his eligibility. Torrey Holt's been a finalist 6 times, but he's been a semifinalist the other 6 times. This is going to be his 12th year of eligibility. I mean, it's kind of crazy. But in any event, Kurt was special, obviously. It was, I heard a bit.
Have you ever seen a story like that in your entire life where a guy was like,
when they were talking about a great story in NFL history, that's one of the great stories in sports histories. I mean, there's no doubt about it, for a guy that had, one training camp in the NFL, then went and played in the Arena League and got a tryout with the Rams only because a guy named Al Lukenbill, who was the coach of Amsterdam in the World League at the time, and NFL teams allocated players to the World League, and many of them allocated a quarterback. And those teams in the World League wanted a quarterback that they could tell the fans, hey, he's on an NFL roster, right? So he got to his friend Charlie Army, who was the personnel director / general manager of the Rams, and said, hey, I'd like you to give a look to this Kurt Warner guy. We'd like to get him in Amsterdam for the World League. So he came in and had a tryout, and the Rams signed him, went to Amsterdam, played there 1 year, came back to the Rams in June. And the great part of the story that a lot of people don't know is that this was before Mike Martz got there. Jerry Rome was the offensive coordinator, and he had a favorite guy. It was a left-handed quarterback named Will Fuhrer, right? And he had brought him to the Rams because he knew the guy. And so the year before Warner got there, Will Fuhrer beat out Jamie Martin as the number 3 quarterback. And Jamie Martin isn't a Hall of Famer, but he was a guy that lasted 12 years in the NFL because, he was a good guy to have on your roster. Well, Jerry Rome wanted to keep Will Fuhrer instead of Jamie Martin, and he was cut. Well, now we fast forward to 1998, the year before the Super Bowl year, and Jerry Rome wanted to keep Will Fuhrer again and cut Kurt Warner. He wanted to cut Kurt Warner. And Dick Vermeil, with some support from other assistant coaches, he saw something in him that he liked. And he went out and kept Kurt Warner. If Kurt Warner had been cut, the whole thing never happens.
Man.
Never happens. And so that was pretty amazing. But the one thing I loved about the conversation, he goes on X all the time and he's interacting with fans. And my wife always gets mad at me when I answer back to fans who say crazy stuff on X and all that. She says, why do you even answer these people? They're not going to listen to you. I say, well, I always have this belief that if I just present a logical argument, accept it. Well, you know what? He goes back and forth with people on X and people think they know more than him.
I know.
He's an NFL quarterback. So I said, well, I get upset when people, throw slings and arrows at me. So it's pretty funny.
I'm going to ask you a couple Hall of Fame questions. Now, weekly, I talk to Armando Salguero, I talk to Jason Cole, and we talk to Jared Bell. And I asked them the question about...
You don't talk to me weekly, but that's okay. I'm okay.
You know what? Listen, I mean, I know you're swamped, and you know what? I thought about you today, and I go, I haven't had my friend on. Oh, my God. And I probably have the greatest conversations with you on the Hall of Fame, and I love it. You know what's funny? They told me this the other day. They go, you haven't had Kurt Warner on. I go, yeah, we did. We had him on. My friend has to remind me to get on Herm Edwards. I don't know. Maybe there is something to that CTE. Anyway, so those guys are not voting for Eli Manning. They're voting for Drew Brees. And I go, how are you not voting for Eli Manning? And they go, have you seen the new process that they have in the Hall of Fame? He goes, this is not going to be easy getting these people. And their attitude was this: the best chance for you to get in the Hall of Fame is the first year you're eligible, actually, because after that, then it gets to be a backlog and it starts to see some of these guys. I mean, hell, you got Brady coming up. You got Roethlisberger coming up. You've got a lot of these guys coming. You got Phillip Rivers coming up.
So he's there. Rivers is in the group this year, along with Frank Gore and Larry Fitzgerald. And so you're right about that. And
is this going to be a long wait for Eli?
It might be. And I the first time guys, though, I don't know if it's fair to say that's their best chance, because I think at some point they will. But it's harder now for first time guys. I mean, last year there were 5 first time eligible guys, and none of them made it. And that was because of this new process. And just to break it down, I don't want to get too far in the weeds here, but instead of voting for 5, as we always did in the past, from 15 to 10 to 5, and then voting yes or no on guys, and they needed to get 80%, and for two decades, 5 modern day guys got in, they felt, well, it's not, we want to make the 80% really mean something. I said, oh, right. So we voted from 10 to 7, and then each of us voted for 5 guys. But you have to get 80%. And the minimum to get in is 3. And that's all that got in last year was 3. So in all our minds, 2 other guys should have got in. Now, Eli Manning didn't even make the cut to 10. So that's a separate story. But the point being is that just look at the math. I mean, let's just say, for argument's sake, there's 250 votes among 50 people, right? If we're each voting for 5.
Yep.
Let's say Drew Brees and Larry Fitzgerald, just for argument's sake, are unanimous choices on everybody's ballot. And I'm not saying they will be, but let's say they are. That's 100 of the 250 votes. So now there's only 150 votes for the other 5 guys. What are the odds of more than another guy getting 40 or more? That's what you have to get.
No way.
So they've made a extremely hard process even harder, and they didn't change this year. One thing that was said is that they were told that the odds are that there would be 2 from the other group of 5. That was another thing. For a decade, they separated contributors, right? They separated coaches. They added another senior to make it 3, and they were all voted on individually. So there was a decent chance that all would get in, right? Well, now they took those 5 and now have them back competing against each other, and the minimum was only 1. And that's why Sterling Sharp was the only one who didn't get in there. Mike Holmgren didn't. I was talking to Dick Vermeil a couple weeks ago. I said, Dick, I think if they had this process because they had that after they had separated coaches from the modern day guys, if they had this process, I don't know that you would have got in.
Yeah.
It would be really, really hard. So like I said, they've made it harder. And the math, they said, well, we thought there would be 2 from the group of 5 and 4 from the modern day guys. I said, well, did anybody who told you that actually look at the numbers and look at the math? It's just impossible for that many to get in. So many of us suggested, well, make the minimum 2 and 4. At least then you don't have this 4-person class where, by the way, the attendance at the enshrinement ceremony last summer was way down. And so it had to have a certain economic effect on the enshrinement weekend. Now, that's not an only reason to do something.
But they've built that community up there for people to go to that thing, because I've seen, they send me all this about that village that they built. And you don't have people rolling in on Hall of Fame week, Howard. I mean, that's going to affect Canton.
No question. So what those guys said, agree 100%. And so everyone asked me, of course, I'm in Arizona. Oh, is Larry Fitzgerald a slam dunk first-time guy? And he's a Hall of Famer. There's no doubt about it. But I don't know if we can say anymore who's a slam dunk first-time guy. Actually, you look at Larry Fitzgerald's receiver numbers, and there's 6 receivers that are semifinalists. And except for the gross numbers, not gross in terms of ugly, but gross in terms of totals, he played more years and more games than anybody. But if you start looking at receptions per game and reception yards per game and touchdowns, his average there is right there.
Howard, look at use your eyes. Use your eyes.
So,
but Howard, use your eyes. I mean, your eye test has to be the thing that sells the point. Not you start breaking down and getting in the weeds of numbers. Look at Larry Fitzgerald. Larry Fitzgerald's a slam dunk in my eyes.
Well, and a lot of people, it is. But what I'm saying is some of these other receivers are slam dunk in other people's eyes. And so it's, and a lot of it is because you play for a long time. Numbers do enter it, and I do agree with that. But with the eye test, type of thing. But, it's going to be very interesting, like I said, this next election, and see, is it 3 again? Does that then move the Hall of Fame to do something about it and adjust the process to get it back more in line to what it used to be? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Okay, so I asked Armando about what he's going to do with Belichick. He goes like this. My problem is that, he goes, I have voted for Belichick. I guess you guys have had some levels of voting. And so he goes, I voted yes on Belichick. He goes, however, my big problem with going at the end of this, we'll see how it plays out, is that I don't know the guy's done. I mean, he's still coaching. And his position was, he's going to go back into the NFL as he retired. I know Joe Gibbs retired and then went back, and he was a Hall of Fame guy, and he went back and coached Washington. How do you look at Bill Belichick? I think he's a slam dunk first ballot Hall of Famer. I know Mike Holmgren is still out there. I know that I believe that Shanahan is still out there. There's still some coaches out there that Tom Coughlin, I think, is still out there. So, I mean, is it Belichick? Does Belichick get in?
I would say probably. I'm not sure why they changed it to only be out of the game for a year before you were eligible. I'll go back some years. And when when Bill Parcells wasn't coaching, he was being discussed for the Hall of Fame. And many in the room said, well, he'll probably come back. And one of the selectors said, no, he promised me he's not coming back. Well, he didn't get in. And guess what? He came back, right? and so at that time, you were basically immediately eligible when your career was over as a coach. Then they changed it to the 5 years that everybody else had. Well, now they've gone back to 1 year. I would say, make it 3. Make it, if you don't want to wait 5, because some of these guys, become eligible when they're older. If you don't want to make it 5, 3, but 1 year, I mean, who knows what might happen. But I'll tell you, if Belichick gets in, Belichick probably gets in, then you're going to have a contributor. You're going to have 3 seniors guys, and probably none of those other guys are going to get in because Belichick's going to eat up too many of those votes in the way the voting is being done now. And so the other interesting thing is Robert Kraft has been in the contributor group for a number of years, and he's gotten pretty close. Well, do everyone look at this and say, well, let's put Kraft and Belichick in? And so maybe both of those guys get enough votes. But look at that. Suppose you have 150 votes from those guys, right? And so if both those guys are unanimous, you've only got 50 votes for the other 3 guys. Nobody's going to get 40, and we'll have a year without a senior player. And they went to 3 seniors to try to reduce what we call the abyss of how many quality players are in there. And now they've made it harder again. So there's just a lot of this that is kind of hard to understand why it's truly been done. But heck, even if Belichick and Kraft, let's say, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, suppose they get 45 each. Well, that's 90. And there's still only 60 left for the other 3 guys. So hard to believe that anyone would get 40.
I want to sneak one last win in on you on Buddy Ryan. So Buddy Ryan is the creator of the 46. He won a Super Bowl. He put that great gangrene defense together in Philadelphia. He's one of the great innovators of all time. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, he was on Purple People Eaters. He was also on the defensive line coach for Weeb Eubanks when they won the Super Bowl in Super Bowl III. And he was in that Super Bowl. I mean, one of the most historic Super Bowls of all time. And you look at him as an innovator. I mean, if Don Coryell gets in, isn't he the Don Coryell of defenses when you're talking about Buddy Ryan? He created the 46. I mean, and he was involved in one of the greatest games, if not one of the most important games in NFL history. The Jets don't win. They don't merge. I mean, what do you make of Buddy Ryan?
I think he's qualified. I think he goes, some people, and I don't understand this thinking, and I said this to a couple selectors some years ago, we've got to find a way to get assistant coaches at least to be considered. Most of them aren't even on the nominee list. I think Bill Arnsparker has been one of the only assistant coaches who's even been nominated. Yeah, from the Dolphins. And the selector said to me, well, they weren't successful as head coaches. I said, well, why should that matter? Why should that? If a guy has a 30-year career plus of being a great coordinator, why should, when he gets that shot at being a head coach, it doesn't work out, all of a sudden that wipes out all he accomplished as an assistant coach? Just put him in as an assistant coach. To me, the head coach doesn't matter. I mean, look at a guy like Norv Turner. He actually wasn't bad as a head coach, but he wasn't, great either. And so, look at a long list of, offensive coordinators that aren't in. And so there just doesn't seem to be a place for them. And I think that's the thing that keeps Buddy Ryan out. He wasn't successful as a head coach. And so he's just in that huge group of assistant coaches that I believe are Hall of Fame worthy. But unless you created another separate category, then it's just not going to happen.
Boy, I'll tell you, man, they've made the process so difficult. I mean, I talk to Jason almost every week, and he's like, this really, maybe it came down from Dion that, we were just putting anybody in. And then all of a sudden now, like you said, I mean, they made it almost like baseball's Hall of Fame, don't you think? Where there's a percentage now that you have to win these votes for you to get in. Was this by design to have less guys go in?
They don't say that was the design. They just say they want to make it harder and that they wanted to protect the sanctity of that 80% vote. But guess what? Guess what, Dan? It's not there's nothing what's the word? Is there a word such as sanctious? I don't know. There's no sanctity to it because they have this caveat in the current rules. The minimum is 1 from the group of 5, as I mentioned, and 3 modern day guys. If nobody gets 80% from the group of 5, they're going to put 1 guy in. If only 2 guys in the modern day group get 80%, they're going to put the 3rd guy with the most votes in. So how fair is that if that happens? And we don't know. They don't tell how many percent of the vote guys got. So let's say a guy got 77% of the votes and he's in the Hall of Fame, but another year when all 3 get in, or not all 3, but 3 of them get in, somebody else had 77%, but he doesn't get in that year because they reached the minimum. So already by acknowledging that we'll take somebody who didn't get 80%, they're admitting that there is no sanctity to the 80%. So there's just a lot of, I don't know what word to use for it, but there's just a lot of weirdness in a lot of this stuff. And I hope they take a long, hard look at it this year, even if 4 modern day guys get in, or even if 2 from the other group. I mean, so again, I don't know if they wanted less. I do think part of it was because of what not only Dion said, but other guys were chiming in on that. But when they say that, they're taking a shot at their own brothers. But here's the crazy thing. I had a conversation with 2 Hall of Famers that will remain nameless in Canton over the summer. And we were just talking this and that. And then I started talking about the process and how it changed. And they looked at me and they say, well, how did it change? They didn't even know. And they're in the Hall of Fame. They're in the Hall of Fame. They didn't even know. So how many people out there know? I've always believed that when NFL Honors last year and they announced who was in and they got to 4 people and stopped, everyone was saying, okay, who's next? Who's next? And then there was nobody more. Because and most people out there don't even know how this process was changed. And which to me is just, I don't know. That's indefensible.
I listen, I'm sorry I got to keep you here. One last question.
No problem. You know me.
Okay. All right. A friend of ours died, and I was dear friends with him. My wife used to get him on my program. She was my producer. George Atkinson.
Yeah.
Played in one of the greatest secondaries in the history of the National Football League. It was Soul Patrol. And every time I used to get him on, I had him on this program, and these folks got a chance to listen to George, and George was just phenomenal. And every time I brought him up, I called him Criminal Element.
I was just going to say that.
and he always loved it. I go, how you doing, Criminal Element? And for those who don't know, that's what Chuck Noll called those guys, Jack Tatum and him. Was that the most feared secondary in pro football history between Tatum, Willie Brown, and George Atkinson? Has there ever been a secondary that was more feared than that secondary in NFL history?
Probably not. And those 2 safeties, of course, were front and center. You know, Willie Brown, of course, was a cover corner and one of the best ever. But yeah, those 2 guys, man, you wanted to avoid them. And, you know, I didn't know if you were going to get to maybe what I thought about Atkinson being a Hall of Famer, but many people think Tatum should have been because he was just a great player, but he got scarred by the whole incident with Darryl Stingley.
I think it's Tatum. I think it's and George used to be a proponent to me and go, why isn't Tatum in? If people are considering Rodney Harrison for Hall of Fame status, I mean, Tatum was better, wasn't he?
Not only was he better, but he wasn't, let's be honest, he wasn't as dirty as Rodney Harrison.
Right.
Hit people late frequently. Number of fine. Now I don't know if they were fining people back in the Tatum days, but that hit that changed Darryl Stingley's life was a legal hit. It was a legal hit
in a preseason game.
Yeah, preseason game, and it just unfortunately in just a bad spot, and he ended up paralyzed. But I think, and then he was part of a book. He said they call me assassin, and so I think that. But hey,
I got a signed copy, so I just so you know. I mean,
that's the way guys play. That's the way
guys. You know what though, Howard? He was a favorite of mine when I grew up, and I got to tell you. So listen, he comes walking in the studio when I'm at KMBR 68. I used to get you on in KMBR when I was out in San Francisco. And Jack Tatum, all of a sudden, George Atkinson goes, Sills, I got somebody for you. So Tatum walks in the room, and I'm sitting there, and I'm co-hosting with Rod Brooks. And I'm sitting there, and I'm going, here comes Tatum. He sits down right in front of me, and he goes like this, and he looks right at me. He goes, I hear you wanted me to come in and do an interview with you. And so my co-host, Rod Brooks, looks over at me. He goes, you know, I've never seen you at a loss of words here. And I just said, I think you're looking at the most intimidating guy next to Butkus in the history of the National Football League here. And I don't know why he set the standard. When you talk about playing safety, isn't he the standard?
He's one of them, and no doubt about it. And so, you know, and that's.
Has he ever been brought up as a conversation?
No, I don't think he's ever been a finalist. I'm pretty sure on that. Although he might have been, I'd have to check if he's ever been discussed as a senior, because I wasn't on that committee. But I know in his modern day eligibility, I'm fairly certain he was not a finalist, and he wasn't they only started doing the cut to 25 in 2004. So that wasn't even there then. Everyone just voted right to 15. And, you know, and that's just a little aside, as I digress just for a moment. That's one of the problems with only getting 3 guys in.
Yeah.
Right? You have 12 guys who are finalists. And most of the time when you're a finalist one year, you come back. Well, now if all 12 guys are finalists, there's only 3 spots for anyone else. And then you got all these first-time eligibles. So anyone who hasn't been a finalist for a number of years, it's almost impossible to get them in the room to be discussed. It was hard enough when 5 guys would get in and there were 10 coming back, which created 5 more spots. I've argued, let's expand the finalists to 18. I mean, what's the difference if we have a discussion about 3 more guys? Yeah, it would make the meeting a little bit longer, but so be it. At least we'd be talking about more guys. So I think there's a lot of things that can be looked at. But yeah, going back to the days of the safeties, I'll tell you one guy, I'm not saying this guy was, but he's in the Hall of Fame, Steve Atwater. I mean, he played the game like Jack Tatum did. And it still took him, I think, until his something like 16th year of eligibility to be elected. And there was a thing about safeties, too. There was a period of time there where there were hardly any safeties.
Yeah, Brian Dawkins and Ed Reed just got in like that, right?
Kenny Easley got in, and there's been a bunch in the last 5 to 10 years. But prior to that, it was unless you were a safety that intercepted passes and had real numbers, then if you were one of those, you know, tackling machines, they were hard to be noticed and get that support to be a Hall of Famer. Now they started to be, and that was true of a lot of defensive players too, besides safeties. And so, because there's not a lot of stats associated with a lot of defensive guys. So it's a wildly interesting process. As I say all the time, Dan, I'm humbled to be a part of it every year, but that doesn't mean you can't talk about, if I don't know if flaws is the right word, but talk about things that just make it hard. And like I said before, it's always been hard to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And, you know, people come out on the outside and say, oh, we don't like this guy or we don't like that guy. No. Heck, if that was the case, Warren Sapp wouldn't have got in on his first ballot.
Right? Yeah, I get you on that. I mean, you know, I don't want to get into that there a little bit, but I just love the fact that my uncle's bust is right in there with that Hall of Fame, Andy Robustelli. And we got some family members in there. Howard, I love talking football with you, and forgive me for not doing this sooner. Make sure you check him out also on Sirius XM. He's got a show. You still do the Hall of Fame show, right?
Not as much anymore. They made some changes there, so I'm not doing that. I still do some work.
Well, then hell, we're going to start getting – no, but you're not going away now. No way. You are coming back on this bad puppy because I could talk with you for hours on pro football. So that's great. I appreciate you always doing this. By the way, real quick, who's the best team in the NFC right now?
I'm not sure. You know, it's funny. I chastised someone a little bit on X a couple of weeks ago after the Falcons beat the Bills, and they said, breaking news, right, with X, with a picture. You know, it's now time to put the Falcons in the elite of the NFL, right? And then now they've lost 2 games in a row. But my point was, I don't think there are any elite teams in the NFL right now. There's some really good ones. You know, there's good teams. You know, the Eagles are good. The Buccaneers are good. I mean, the Packers are really good. But elite, I don't know that there's anybody elite. Someone will be left standing at the end, and we'll see how the second half of the season goes. But I think it's wide open, as it usually is, and that's what everybody loves with the NFL, how wide open it is. I mean, look at the AFC. I mean, who would have thought at this point of the season that the Colts would have the best record in the AFC and Tampa Bay would be tied for the best record in the NFC. So that's just how crazy the season goes. And then you have those at the other end. I will say quickly that one thing I do is I do cover the Cardinals for the Cards Wire at the USA Today wires, and that's been a treat with their 5-game losing streak by a total of 13 points. And it's always interesting to me, Dan, to hear people say, "Oh, they're a disaster. They got to blow it up. Time to change the coach again. What a bad team." I say, it doesn't matter if you lose by 3 or 30. Well, sure it does, right? If you lose by 30, you're horrible. But if you lose by 3 points, you're just not making plays in the fourth quarter to win games. And that defines the NFL. When half the games are decided by one score or less, and anywhere from 2/3 to 3/4 are one-score games at some point in the fourth quarter. So the teams that win most of the time and have good records are the teams that have somebody to make that play in the fourth quarter that helps them win, whether it's an offensive play or a defensive stop. And obviously the Cardinals haven't had that, and I chronicle it all on Cards Wire. So always enjoy coming on with you.
Do you think Kyler Murray's the guy?
I'm in the middle on that. I think he has the ability. I do think he fits a little bit in that whole notion of organizations failing quarterbacks before quarterbacks fail organizations. And it's not to say he doesn't have some weaknesses, but when he's played well, what's around him has been good. But when there's struggles, then he's the one that gets blamed. I think he's one of the more polarizing quarterbacks in the league. And so when he doesn't play well, no one looks at the offensive line, or no one looks at a kind of an average group of receivers. And this year, the running game, with losing their number 1 and number 2 guys, has been difficult. And yet they're playing teams toe to toe. And their last 2 losses came late in the fourth quarter to the Colts and the Packers. 2 teams right now. What's their combined record? 12, 2-1, I think. Yeah, so right. They're losing to some good teams. But like I said, I'm on the fence a little bit with him. But if you move on from him, then what do? You're trying to build this roster around him, and they've had some injuries. But if you change, there's no guarantee you're going to get somebody just as good as him. And that's the thing that I always say about these debates about quarterbacks. Why did Dak Prescott get all that money? Or why did this guy? I remember when Matthew Stafford got the money with the Lions, and people said, why did they give him that much money? Well, when you feel you have your guy, you do what you can to keep him, because if you don't keep him, you get into that whole thing of trying to find somebody new, and that's obviously not very easy.
Absolutely. Howard, I appreciate you so much, man. We'll do this again. Thank you, brother.
My pleasure. Anytime, Dan. Take care.
You got it. The legendary Howard Balzer, Hall of Fame voter. We appreciate him coming on with us, and we appreciate him talking about Myles Garrett. So now the new news coming around, and let me check out here what we got. We're going to bring Brian Baldinger up here in a second. I wonder what Baldy's going to say about this. So the new rumor going around, Mary Jo Cabot said something, and she kind of confirmed that Philadelphia has contacted the Browns on the availability of Myles Garrett. I talked to Alonzo Highsmith, who I played with, is up. And he's an assistant with Elliott Wolf up in New England. I talked to Dan Morgan, my 2 Miami guys, about the potential of this 3 first-round draft choices for Myles Garrett. Now, Baldy will be the first to go. You're out of your mind, or maybe. So let's do this, and let's bring our friend from the NFL Network in, Brian Baldinger. Is it real, Baldy, or is it a pipe dream?
I don't know. I mean, it's Howie Roseman. Howie's a riverboat gambler. He loves this stuff. He loves making trades. Can you pry? There's 2 parts to this. If it's a rumor, I get it. Trade deadline's Tuesday at 4. Teams, it's the arms race. Everybody's looking to add a member, a component that can help them, secure a path maybe to deep into the playoffs. I mean, there is the compensation, which you just mentioned, 3 first-rounders, which I'm not going to debate. I mean, it's at least 2. So if it's 2, can it be 3? It can. He's in the prime of his career. And then there's the compensation. So it's, north of $40 million a year. Can they make that work? I have no idea. Howie's a magician when it comes to that. They can push the can down the road. There's ways to do it. They can restructure contracts. They've done that before. Is it a possibility? It's a need. They just brought Brandon Graham back for his 16th year, and he's coming off 2 torn triceps. So who knows how he's going to hold up. But they don't have much of a pass rush. And, they're going to get Nolan Smith back. I saw him working out on Sunday before the Giants game. He was a difference maker in the second half of the season last year. But, he hasn't done much so far this year.
How about this, Baldy? It just makes too much sense here. And, we were just talking about, in a draft, and you break down the draft all the time. I call them sandbox guys. There's probably 15 guys in every draft every year that are legitimate first-round selections. The rest of them are really high 2s. And so when you're picking between 28 and 30 every year, like the Eagles are projected to the next couple of years here, that's why the volume of picks, it just makes too much sense. Think of it. You're sending 3s. The Browns are going nowhere. They have no quarterback. And how about this? In the next 3 years, if they were to make this move, they would have 7 first-round picks with what they did with Jacksonville. You would have 7 first-round picks over the next 3 years. Isn't that how you rebuild a football team? And how you get your team on the fly getting in the right direction?
Yeah, in theory, we've seen teams with multiple first-round picks. Andrew Berry is there. He came from Philadelphia. Howie knows Andrew Berry. He's got his number on his speed dial. In theory, yes, that's how you do it. But we've seen teams screw that up all the time. So that's not a guarantee. They did get Jihad Campbell with the 31st pick this year, and he looks like he's going to be the best linebacker they've had in a long time. But, you don't always get lucky like that. You're right about the first-round picks, though, Dan. Like usually, if you get 20 in a year, that's a good year. I always think of it this way. You go back to any draft, Dan. There's 10 really good players to Hall of Fame players. There's 10, excellent players that have careers. And then there's 10 busts that you just quarterbacks, any position, they just miss on. And, we kind of talk about those guys a lot sometimes. But, the Cleveland has had their share of those guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. 6-2 Eagles. What do you make of them heading into their bye week right now? Where are they in the NFC, in your opinion?
They're right in the middle of it. They've tweaked their offense a lot in the last 2 weeks of wins against Minnesota and the Giants. They really went to the play-action pass game against Minnesota, followed it up against the Giants. They ran some runs last week that they hadn't run. They hadn't run pin and pull. They hadn't run toss crack. They hadn't done those kind of things, and they did, and they had the best running game that they had all year. And now they have a bye week. So last year, after the bye week, they were 2-2, and they went on a run. And they fixed the offense and became a running team. I don't know that they want to become a run-first team again. I don't really feel like they think they're better than that. The quarterback, the receivers are better. So they'll tweak things. Kevin Patullo is good. He's adjusted. He's made some changes. He's been in that system with them since Nick Sirianni got there. I talked to Patullo the last 2 weeks. He's, sometimes he looks like that guy on the sideline. He's looking for a friend to talk to. You're in Philadelphia and you're under the microscope, Dan. Sometimes you feel like you don't have a friend. Like they can beat on you pretty hard. So we've had some laughs about that. It's been going on there forever. But I feel like, Saquon busted out last week. And if they get some balance in the offense and play action passes, they're going to be just fine.
How about this? How much does under center do you think is that more of a cosmetic change?
No.
Or is that more of a scheme change, in your opinion?
No, it's a scheme, Dan, because what's happened is in this league, these teams are just sitting back in these shells, cover 2. They're sitting like they're not going to give you the deep ball. You got to run them out of it. That's one way to get them out of that. Just have a really good – have a Detroit running attack, have a Buffalo Bill running attack, Indianapolis Colt running attack. You can run them out of that shell. But the other way is to play action pass and really sell the run, and let these routes develop down the field. I call them speedo routes, two receivers going and some level of combination, post dig. It could be a variety of different combinations. But, you got to get your chunk plays to get points in this game. You got to flip field position. And the Eagles have done that now in the last 2 weeks. But the good offenses, Indianapolis does it a lot. Green Bay does it. Seattle does it a ton. The good offenses, is like McVay does it in with the Rams. Like the good offense in this league are going under center, and the running backs are 8 yards deep, and they're either handing it off or faking it to them, and they're getting their big chunk plays out of it.
Jalen Hurts, it's such a complex conversation every year. I have it with you all the time as well as I do everyone else. I even had it with Kurt the other day. By the way, he loved your idea. I said, hey, my boy Baldy's got 50 jobs. You've got one, Junior. So, he liked that. I went and I asked him, I said, I go, Jalen Hurts. And he goes, it is not really a complex offense. It's a simplistic offense. They run a ton of go routes. They run a lot of simple plays, but that's by design of the quarterback. And then I started thinking, is it because he can't read secondaries? Is it because why? I mean, what do you make of their offensive attack? It's not complex. There's not a lot of motion. There's a lot of winning, which again supersedes everything else. Tell us how to read Jalen Hurts.
Well, here's the other thing, Dan. Here's the other thing that you failed to mention, because all the things you said are right. They don't turn the ball over.
Yep.
They don't turn it over. Like, you want to go to the number one stat and why teams win or lose, just go to the turnover ratio. I mean, he's thrown one interception this year. All right. He threw one after the bye week last year. Like, he's not going to put the ball in harm's way. Now, he's an excellent deep ball thrower. He always has been. And he's got guys that can go get it. He's very comfortable doing that. But like, he's not going to, these routes in the middle of the field where they're layering these routes and you got to do a Shanahan thing and layer it over the linebacker's head and drop it in. Like, he's not throwing that route. He's just not. But go routes, okay. I got an arm. I can put enough air under it and let my guys go get it. He'll do that. But he's not, like we saw Mahomes, he's never in his life thrown 2 interceptions in a quarter in his life. He did it the other night. Now, one went through Kelsey's hands. But like, he's just not, like, Jalen is going to take care of the football. And you're going to have to beat the Eagles. They're not going to beat themselves. And that's a part of his winning.
So to you, all that other stuff, it's irrelevant. I mean, right?
I can show you, Matt Stafford's offense in Los Angeles to Devontae and Puka, and it's pretty. It's beautiful. It's a symphony in Seattle with Sam Darnold right now. And you can just the eye test, go, oh, that's a good passing offense. That quarterback's good. But you can do it a different way. You can do, like, I remember, honestly, 9 years ago, going to do an Alabama-Texas A&M game. And Jalen's a rookie. He's a freshman at Alabama. And I said, I don't know how fast Jalen Hurts is, but I know this. There's not a guy in Texas A&M that could catch him. Like, he's as fast as he needs to be. He's won games at Alabama. He started for Nick as a freshman.
Yeah.
He walked after he graduated. He walked on at Oklahoma and had him in a national championship run. Like, all he does is get the team to the playoffs every year and win playoff games. Like, winning is all that matters to him. And all the other stuff, honestly, to him is superfluous.
Okay. A couple more here for you. A.J. Brown. Now, dude, this guy is a content machine for me, and I love the guy because he brings it each and every single day. But, Kurt said this, and you tell me if you agree with this prism that he sees him through. This is more about him being a competitor.
No doubt.
He sees the game that he wants the game to come to him. He wants to be involved. He wants to be a guy that's involved in the winning. He goes, when you're just doing those and you're not throwing the ball, he's not getting any targets. He feels like he's not part of the process. And for him, going out and running sprints all day long on a Sunday, it's not what he wants. Do you think that's where he's coming from? Do you think he's a good team guy, or do you think he's more of a distraction?
I don't think he's a distraction at all. In fact, you have to go even deeper in what you're saying. You know what he wants to do, Dan? He wants to rip the freaking carotid artery right out of your throat. He wants to play football the way you play defensive line. He wants to beat the guy in front of him. Like, the happiest he was all year, they're down 26-7 to the Rams in the second half. He beat those corners with the Rams so bad, like, physically, not just caught the ball, but then ran him over. Like, he's just wired different. Like, he's not, like, I've seen him. I mean, I've had people tell me at the locker room, they won playoff games, and he left unhappy because he didn't get a chance to break somebody's will. Like but you can't have enough of those guys on your team. You just can't. He's a good blocker. He's a great blocker when he blocks. I don't know. I don't think he's a distraction. Like, honestly, he's the god. I mean, Jalen Hurts the godfather to his daughter. Like, there's a relationship there, I mean, he's the reason why he came to Philly. Jalen's like, get this dude, man. Like, this guy's an animal. Like, they don't win a Super Bowl. They don't go to 2 Super Bowls without him. And is he moping? I don't believe he's a diva or a moper like that. He just wants a chance to, like, take a corner, Marshawn Lattimore, and just destroy him. That's his mentality. But that's football. Like, he doesn't have any. I see these guys short-arming balls all over the field, Dan, right? Like, it drives me nuts. Like, I never see that from Devontae or A.J. Brown. They're not short-arming a ball. If there's a ball in the middle of the field to go get, they're going to get it.
Absolutely. Who's the biggest threat, do you think, to the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC?
Well, I mean, they beat Tampa this year, but Tampa always plays them well. Todd Bowles knows how to pressure Jalen. They're a factor. The Rams had him on the brink last year in the playoff game.
This year too. This year also, yeah. They had to block 2 field goals in the fourth quarter, to win that game. That's pretty improbable. But I think Green Bay, they're going to see them on Monday night, a week from the Eagles are on a bye week this week, but then go Monday night to Green Bay. They're a good team. I mean, Mike has made a difference there. Although Lane Johnson, Malott have never had a real issue with blocking Micah Parsons. We'll see. But I think, Detroit, Green Bay, the Rams, Seattle. I mean, I think Tampa, there's some foes out there that could give them a hard time. Offensive line. Baldy, you tell me what's happened this year. To me, look, I think Tyler Steen has played well, but he's not the earth mover that Micaiah Becton was a year ago.
That's true.
I think that tush push may have done some damage to the old line, and maybe even this too. Baldy, you tell me. We always talk about the backs having tread worn off when you go 2K, right? Well, how about the old line too, having tread taken off them when you're a run-dominant team and you're running the ball 40 times? I mean, look at Dickerson. He's been injured. He had 2 off-season surgeries. Cam Jurgens had back surgery. You don't have the same guy. Is it just been the war of attrition over the last couple of years with them going so deep? Injuries have played a factor in why that run game's not where it's at right now?
I mean, that's a theory. I mean, Brett Toth played center last week. He played great.
He did.
And so, he's a strong-handed guy. He's never started at center before. He's been a backup player, but he played great against Dexter Lawrence and the Giants. But they got some different type of runs. They got the pin and pull, like I said. They got the tosses outside. They blocked the best play all year that they blocked with Toth and Dickerson to get Saquon that 65-yard gash. He hadn't seen a runway like that this year. There's no change in Saquon. His top flight speed is just the same. I feel like there's the thing is beginning to open up, and the playbook is starting to change a little bit. There's no question. Mekhi was special last year. They're not getting that out of him with the Chargers right now. Right. But Steen is a good player. Lane Johnson, I'll tell you if he's on with you, Dan, like he likes Top. He thinks he's playing really. He doesn't blow assignments, mentally sharp. I think they just got to keep working at this thing here.
Final question for you. Who's the best team in the NFL right now? Or is it too early to say, and is it too wide open? Because, I mean, every time I bring someone on and ask him a question, Kurt said the same thing. He goes, I don't know right now. I'm not sure I've seen the league this wide open. There's a ton of parity in the game right now. Is there somebody you like, though, right now?
I like the Colts. Now, they go to Pittsburgh on Sunday. I'll be there in Pittsburgh announcing that game. I mean, the Colts should be 8-0. They had a knucklehead receiver drop the ball before us, celebrating before he got in the end zone, but that would have won the game for him. They could be 8-0. Like, they don't really have a weakness. They got Lou Anarumo running the defense. They brought in Jermaine Pratt next to Zaire Franklin. They're good up front, really good. They might go get a corner, at this trade deadline. But offensively, they don't have a weakness. I haven't seen any team exploit it. Like, they're putting up, 35 points a game right now. Pittsburgh has played their best game that they played in 2 years to beat them. But they look like the best team to me.
Finally here, hey, dude, I mean, so when you go scuba diving, is it lobster? And what do you go scuba diving for when you go? I see the videos all the time.
Yeah,
What are you scuba diving for?
I'm a free diver, Dan. Like, the water's nice today. I'm in Fort Lauderdale. I'm on the beach. Like, I just was too busy today to go out there. But if I have a free hour tomorrow, I'm taking my mask and snorkel. I'm heading out to the reef. I swim out there. It's a couple hundred yards off my backyard. But it's not lobster season right now. But when it is, I know where they are. I know what rocks to go underneath there. I got the net. I got the stick. I'm poking them in the bag. We're throwing them in the grill. Like, we're having our lobster tacos for sure.
Bro, you need to get down to Isle Morada to go down and see Jimmy. I want you to go down and see Jimmy. You got to go to his place, and you have to go down there, and you have to go out on his boat. You and him would have a blast out there on his boat.
I would die.
Dude, I'm going to set that up for you this year.
You set it up.
You're too close. Now. You're too close not to go down there and see him.
I'm 2 hours.
Yeah, no, I'm going to send you a text tonight, and I'm going to set that up with Jimmy. He has people down there all the time, man.
Yeah,
dude, he goes out tuna hunting, and he goes out tuna like fishing all the time. He's got these gigantic tunas.
No, I saw him with some giant mahi.
Mahi, that's it.
Beautiful fish, man. I saw him on a plane. I said, Jimmy, that was a beautiful mahi, man. Like it is. I mean, he knows what he's doing out there. But I'm
going to set that up.
Okay, set it up, Dan.
Hey, bro, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you finding time for me, man.
My pleasure, buddy. Anytime.
You got it. That is my friend Brian Baldinger, man. You catch him on the NFL Network. Baldy always breaks it down. By the way, don't you love the fact also, too, when he, is breaking down when offensive linemen and defensive linemen he's talking about techniques when a guy's in a 3 technique or in a 2 technique, a 1, what the guy's responsibility is. It's absolutely sensational stuff, man. I love it. That's, again, one of the most important things when you're showing somebody and I need to do that. I need Xander to spring for like a whiteboard for me. And I'll put that in the budget. You put that bad puppy in the budget. All right, I'm going to read some of these supers in a minute. Hold on for a second. I got to see what damage I've done today. Oh, hold on. Let's see here. Garrett to the Eagles. Let's check it out here. Oh, yeah. Eagles spark frenzy with shocking Garrett trade. Yeah. Trade rumor. There it is. Oh, my God. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Chalk talk with Big Sills. I actually like that. Chalk talk with Big Sills. Xander, got some supers here, I believe that. Going all the way back from the Howard Balzer, I think, to Baldy. I think we got a couple supers. A couple of legends on this panel. Fire segment, Sills. Thank you so much. Pump, I love me some Baldy. Get this, man. I told you guys this before. My wife's listening right now, just so you know. My wife dated Baldinger. And some of you and most of you know that. Here's the funny thing about our relationship. I know Baldy longer than I know my wife because we were teammates in Dallas. And she knows Baldy longer than she knows me. It's one of the only people that kind of cross paths with one another. Yes. he dropped your he dropped your face on Baldy's shirt. Come on, man. Hey, Pump. Dude, I was wondering what the hell that thing was, man. I thought he was working at a Taco Bell. Oh, man. Garrett and Ward for 3 Eagles #1s and Nolan Smith. Not bad. Not bad. Guess who Myles Garrett? Oh, my God. Myles Garrett's agent is Nicole Lynn. Jalen Hurts' agent. The plot thickens, my friends. The plot thickens. Sills, if you did a segment where you break down technique and assignment on D, that'd be awesome. You guys ask me that all the time. You know what? I should listen to my customers. Guy wants pasta fazool, I should give him pasta fazool. Right? I'm not going to serve you chicken soup. I'm going to serve you pasta fazool. Some of you are like, what kind of food is that? Pasta fazool? What's pasta fazool? It's okay, white guys. It's all right. Believe me, it's an Italian thing, so you know. Pasta fazool? Sills, what's that? Pasta fazool. What's goomba mean too? Oh man. We didn't get any rumors about Mike. Who's Michael Carter? Michael Carter, the running back, or the guys you signed? Who leaked those stories? I don't know. Maybe an agent. Myles Garrett, 3-1s to the Eagles. Signed, Big Sills. By the way, you're welcome. You want something started? Come right here. I'll start it for you. We'll start anything on fire. Done. Sills. No, not yet. I'm waiting for the Humpty Dumplings. Ringo, Smith, Dean. What? Hey, wait a minute. Watch this. Ringo, Smith, Dean, and a 2026 second rounder for Garrett. Ringo, Smith, Dean sounds like a circus act, and second rounder for what? I mean, guess what? You mean Jason Garrett. Okay? You mean Jason Garrett. His hater can't send him. He's eating them. Oh, man. Yes. Unfortunately, Elizabeth, that's exactly what's happened over all these years. We've been very lucky to be friends with so many people. Wait a minute. I thought I didn't have any friends. I thought I didn't have any friends. What the hell's going on here? We started this thing today. This thing's been going on. Okay. Would you guys like to have Derrick Brooks on? Would you guys like to have Derrick Brooks on next Tuesday? Derrick Brooks. Hall of Famer. Just got a brand new job as Chief Operating Officer of USF Football, and he's a Hall of Fame pro football player. And we could talk to him about your linebackers. By the way, he loves Jihad Campbell. He is a big fan of Jihad Campbell. Okay? I know Kay. Here. I'll get Kay on. You guys want Kay Adams on? Would you guys want Kay Adams? I'll get Kay Adams on. She's a smoke show. I tell her all the time. She's like, you're married 35 years, aren't you? I go, yeah. She goes, well, you're allowed to say it then. I go, thank you, Kay. Yeah. She goes, you're married. You're married. I go, yeah, 35 years. And your wife, she goes, yeah, she knows I'm not going anywhere. I don't leave my house. That's Xander. I don't leave the Dan cave. I don't leave my house. Just so you know. Okay. I don't leave my house. Trade Big Sills in a second rounder for Mark and the Cowboys. Oh, man. Oh, God. I would like to have Seth Joyner on again. Yeah, I don't, paying people to come on is not something I want to do. Okay? Some of you guys are horrible. It's worth leaving for that beauty queen. All right. Wait a minute. I haven't had a timeout yet. Ugh. I haven't taken a break yet. Let me pay some bills here. All right. Big Sills here for Morgan & Morgan, the number one injury law firm in all of America. For a reason. They win, my friends. There is not a bigger injury law firm in all of America than Morgan & Morgan. We have the number one. By the way, John Morgan's coming on next week. He's been really busy, but John's coming on next week. I think either Wednesday or Thursday he's coming on. So we're going to have John Morgan on again. We're going to talk to a billionaire and get his thoughts again. And one of the reasons why Morgan & Morgan has been most successful is because of the thousands of attorneys they've had coast to coast in representing families like yours. Easiest move you'll ever make. If you've ever been injured on a job, trust me when I tell you, I've known these folks for over 25 years. Go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529 and do me a favor. You tell them Big Sales sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Shot Takers and the Tastemakers. Welcome to the Viewfinders, the Thrill Seekers, and the Night Owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We go the extra mile to lend a helping hand.
Thank you.
We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong. We've been deeply rooted in our communities for more than 85 years. And that connection to members has earned us our spot as the #1 health insurer in the region. So while you look out for your neighbors, know IBX is always looking out for you.
Your gut says Miami is going to win and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
EAGLES. Eagles.
I don't know what happened today. I never used any of my notes. Miles Garrett? I didn't use any of my notes. I mean, I prep my ass off every day. I didn't use any of my notes. We've been really fortunate this week. We've had some pretty great people on. Ray Dittinger, Kurt Warner. Who else? Brian Baldinger. I mean, by the way, the return of Mike North tomorrow. You guys love the guy. So he'll be on. By the way, I'm going to try to get somebody from Cleveland on tomorrow. You guys ever hear of Bob Golick? Not Mike Golick. Maybe we'll get on Mike Golick and see if we can get Mike on. And see if we can get him talks a little bit of the potential, because I think he's got a place in Cleveland and he's got a place in Arizona. Okay, so you guys see Dan Orlovsky today? Dan Orlovsky, his 5 quarterbacks that have played the best in 2025 in the first 8 games. The first 8 games of the season. Here they are. Baker Mayfield. 4, Matthew Stafford. Number 3, Daniel Dimes Jones. Number 2, Drake May. And number 1, Patrick Mahomes. Those are Dan Orlovsky's 5 best quarterbacks in 2025. So far this season. Wow. Unbelievable. Wait a minute. Where's Jalen Hurts? I don't see Jalen Hurts here. What's up? Where's Jalen? I'm looking. Where is he? Oh, that's a good one. Hey, man. That's a good one. No Allen, Lamar, and Jalen. I mean, right. Well, Jalen played okay in those first 6 games. I know that you guys think that, the offense is back and humming again because of the Giants and Minnesota Vikings. I got you. They're back, and it's back to being 2024 domination. I got you there, man. Dan Orlovsky's best play was running out of the back. Hey, dude, you know what? Hey, Jim, you want to hear something crazy about the guy? I took a shit on him once, too. You know what he said to me? He goes, hey, man, coming from another Connecticut guy, I would have thought you would have had my back. I went, what, you're thinking from Connecticut? I'm going to agree with those shitty takes of yours. He goes, oh, okay. And I go, no. Listen, Dan, it's all good. I actually like your work. Yeah, I forget where he went. I think he went to like someplace in near New Haven or something where he went to high school. Yeah, he made like first team All-State somewhere up there. I don't know. Because every year they have like the New Haven Register and all that shit. And, all the guys that have made All-State, I did too. And, so his name, I'm like, Dan Orlovsky made All-State? Holy shit. Okay. I think he played a bit in the NFL too. I don't remember him ever really playing. Jalen Hurts has thrown 35 touchdowns. Dude, how about this year? Well, let's stay on pace here, okay? Mike Singletary's not coaching because players are soft. Okay? Like those Connecticut guys. You bet I do. 2 times, not once, but twice. Was he? He made All-State twice? I know that Mike Golick's kid did too. Mike Golick's son is from Connecticut. And his younger son that does that show with him, Mike Golick Jr., he made All-State twice too. Myles Garrett, yes. Compare Allen and Hurts' numbers this year. Can't do it. I compared the importance to one team versus another. Josh Allen is the most important player to one team in this entire league. If Josh Allen plays poor, they lose. If Jalen Hurts plays poor, the Eagles win. Jalen Hurts, I mean, again, remember, folks, Josh Allen carries a football team. Your guy doesn't. Compared Jim McMahon. Jim McMahon never really had great numbers. And plus, I don't think Jim McMahon ever played a full season. He was always injured. Okay? Steel's moving the goalpost again. Not moving the goalpost. Facts are, guys, not getting into a conversation about better organizations. Certain quarterbacks play for better organizations than others. Here's another one. Archie Manning, the grandfather. If he was in a different organization, he'd have been a Hall of Fame player. That guy never had a winning season. Wasn't because of him. He was the MVP of the league one year. Archie Manning was the MVP of the NFL on an 8-8 football team. He never had a 500 record. Wasn't his fault. Team didn't build the team around him. Hey, dude, here we go with the Hurts thing. Get over what? Not getting over anything. I don't sweat it. You do. I don't sweat it that he plays in a good organization. Kudos to Jalen. It's not a rip. Myles Garrett plays in a shitty organization. I mean, it's what it is. Some players play in shitty organizations that are great players. Joe Thomas. The wide receiver, Larry Fitzgerald. Those guys play on shitty teams. Not me getting over it. You get over it. Absolutely. Their win rates are high from being on good teams. Well, that's usually what that is. Schefter said yesterday, zero chance of trade, he was told. There's no such thing as zero chance. Get this. Here's truth. Hurts beat both Mahomes and Allen, and he's not better. Sills, you got the pull to get Dawkins on? You know, I got a cell phone number the other day. I'm going to try that. I'm working on getting Brian Westbrook on again. Howie Roseman needs to make this trade happen. Myles Garrett, Sills. I'm with you, man. Sills, even Aaron Rodgers couldn't overcome the Jets. Yeah, again, it's a dumb conversation for the Jalenites. The Jalenites. It is. It's a tough conversation for them. They don't want to face it. That guys are on bad teams are better than their guy. It's okay. I'm not saying Hurts is better, but his numbers, well, he's on a better team. They should be better. He's on the defending Super Bowl champs. They should be better. Dude. Jalen gets sacked more. Oh my God. I by the way, anybody who is making derogatory comments towards Joy Taylor, you will not be allowed to watch the show when she comes back on. Okay? Jalen's a top 5 guy. Yeah, okay. He's the MVP of the defending Super Bowl champions. You dumb dope. Great. I know. Boy. Yeah, great. It's wonderful. How is Lamar on a bad team? I didn't say Lamar. I was talking about Josh Allen. Ears. Hey, Sills, where's Philly 500 at? Hey, okay, so now you guys are making me get on my P's and Q's. Who thought What made you think that? I'm kidding, dude. Dude, this guy's looking for a date. Who do you want me to bring on, like Kay Adams now? You guys are dumb. Hey, Kay, I've got to bring you on because all the meatheads in here want to have you on so they could Google over you. You guys are stupid. Lamar had all, bro, I'm great. Congratulations. You know how to read a roster. I got to make some more money. Big Sills here for Morgan & Morgan. Man, that was bad. The number one injury law firm in all of America for a reason. You know, I keep my mouth going so fast that, you know, I have to pay some bills here, man, and I have to make this thing happen here with my number one injury law firm in Morgan & Morgan. You bet, man, with over $30 billion recovered. Morgan & Morgan's the number one injury law firm in all of America for a reason. Like I said, with thousands of attorneys from coast to coast, if you are ever injured on the job, do me a favor. Please check out my friends at Morgan & Morgan at forthepeople.com/Big Sills or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/Big Sills or pound law 529. And do me a favor. You tell them Big Sills sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Shot Takers and the Tastemakers. Welcome to the Viewfinders, the Thrill Seekers, and the Night Owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We go the extra mile to lend a helping hand.
Thank you.
We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong. We've been deeply rooted in our communities for more than 85 years. And that connection to members has earned us our spot as the #1 health insurer in the region. So while you look out for your neighbors, know IBX is always looking out for you.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Prepared all this. Miles Garrett blew it out of the water for me. And of course, you know, what we do here. It is what we do. I just sent a text message to Kay Adams, by the way. She says, yeah, but by the way, Kay's not who he thinks she is. She's not just some little doll. She's going to throw it back at you, you know. She goes, yeah, I'll come out for – I go, Leon? I go, yeah, we got a guy, Leon. Honestly, Leon, I go, ugh. Is he a skirt chaser? I said, yeah. But he's got a Miata, so don't worry about it. All good, my friend. You know we're boys, Leon. Hey, great stuff, man. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Oh, my God. Thank you so much, man. Big Z. Joe, thank you very much. 2 to 6 tomorrow. We'll see you on a Football Friday. We'll catch you on the flip side.